Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 314. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V.
You are on the clock.
Yes, so for those who are not familiar with
It is
fantasy draft time.
It is draft season. This is my
It is.
4th out of 5 this year. My last one is tomorrow night, where I run my work league. And we've already gone through the Disc Golf Media League. You and I are on its shared team,
Yes.
as you know.
Did we win last year?
No, we didn't.
Why not?
We were awful, I think. I think
You
last
did
year we were awful.
You're
I think year before
terrible.
that we were really good. But last year I think we were awful. I don't remember. And I'm actually in the middle of running one right now. CBS Sports was really, really bad for like the first. They had a crash, so our draft got started like a half hour late. So I'll be drafting a little bit while we do a little podcast here, talking with Kevin Jones tonight.
Yes.
Performed very admirably at the GMC.
So I heard. I didn't
you
get to
didn't-
see it
you-
all for once,
yeah.
but
You don't know what happened.
no,
You're
don't
clueless.
spoil
Sorry, I
it.
spoiled it for you. I'm sorry, bro.
No, you just said he performed admirably.
Wait, you're going to be our in the booth commentator this
I don't
week,
know.
and
I'm
you
drunk.
can't say admirably.
I can't
Oh,
wait.
I don't know if I
I'm
said it.
yeah. See, no, you
I'm
just said he
already-
performed well. That
I did.
doesn't mean
That's true.
anything.
Well, spoiler. Usually we have on the winners.
Oh, not all the time, but
just
tonight
saying.
we do. We have Kevin Jones, KJUSA. He's going to be joining us actually in just the next couple of minutes. He's coming in from the East Coast. We're going to chit chat with him. He's going to have to fill me out. He's going to have to fill me in. I didn't see. I saw some of the action, but certainly not all of it. So. We'll get the scoop there as to what went down at the Green Mountain Championships. And then after we let him go, I think we're going to have a very brief intermission. We're going to check in with one of our submitted videos that we've got all queued up.
Disc Golf Nerd.
And right after that, I believe we're going to have a Disc Golf Nerd of his own in Steve Dodge of Boda Brothers and of Birdie and other fine board games, and also our tournament director for the 2020 MVP Open. So super excited to check in with Steve Dodge. It seems like he was due regardless of the MVP being right around the corner, but killing 2 birds, maybe 3 birds with 1 stone here. Going to be super excited to have him here. So we're glad you guys are here. If you don't mind, I know we usually don't start the show with this, but if you don't mind, maybe hit the little like button. Maybe hit the share button. Let others know. Maybe you're watching it on YouTube.
Button?
The $sign button, let me see. It says show your support for SmashBoxxTV.
Oh,
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, don't just hover over it if you click it. But it's, in all seriousness, like, share, all that stuff. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If you're already here and watching, that means you probably got some kind of notification. But I do know that hitting that like button actually helps with some visibility, helps with the analytics and discoverability with other people that might be browsing the web. If you're on a Tuesday night, you're just like, I wonder what's on YouTube. We'd love for you to come across our podcast so that you can take it all in.
If you're a brand new person, have never heard of disc golf, and you stumbled upon our podcast tonight, well, let me tell you, you're in for a treat. There is no better place to get all your disc golf information than right here on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I guess. On Tuesday nights, at least. Other days of the week, there's a lot of great solutions.
Well, Coy Bryant says he listens all the time, but this is his first time viewing live.
That's even better.
Well, happy to have you, Coy.
Thank you so much. So, as always, tonight, like I said, we just talked about the couple of guests we'll have. We'll have Kevin, and then we'll have Steve Dodge. Then we'll have a little intermission where we shut down the regular show, and then right after that is when we move into an after show format, which is just a little bit looser and may or may not be on topic of disc golf. Sometimes we will drift into other things that might be other sports, might be
Pop culture,
current events,
current
things
events.
going on, movies, games, other things. It's been known sometimes to even get a little off the rails. But that almost makes it sound like we have any kind of
rails to actually be on.
Yeah, during the regular show, and I wouldn't go that far either.
And tonight, I just want to mention, we have one of our sponsors, Disc Member, is the giveaway tonight for all of our Patreon supporters. So if you're a
Nice.
Patreon supporter of SmashBoxxTV, tonight you are eligible to win one of the disc member packages, which is a monthly subscription service, much like a lot of other ones for other industries. But this is the premier one for disc golf for like 25. I think it's 25 bucks a month. You can get at least $40 worth of merchandise, and there's always a disc, usually a mini, some stickers, sometimes a t-shirt. I don't know if they've ever tried putting a hat in there, but those little boxes, you never know. And so tonight, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, disc member, we want to give a shout out to them and thank them for their support over the last 2 years. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been at least that. And I think maybe next month they should do hats and just smash one
Just
right in.
crush one into the
smaller
box.
that they ship out. That could be co-sponsored by SmashBoxx, literally. One way or another. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, speaking of clever and a man that knows himself around the greens and maybe even from circle 2, circle 3, wherever
Circle
he's
Kevin.
hailing them in from, we're going to welcome to the show our winner from this last weekend's Green Mountain Championships, none other than Kevin Jones. Kevin, welcome, buddy. How you doing?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for taking the time out of your night to come join us.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Let's start right there and talk about the timing. Green Mountain Championships, you just won it this weekend. We're getting into more of those details, but there's a quick turnaround, and we've seen that a few weeks ago. Idlewild, moving over to Ledgestone, and now Green Mountain Championships the week before MVP. It was earlier in the year. It was, those two were flip-flop, but now because of some quarantine and whatnot, quick turnaround after a 4-day event. Where are you? How you feeling?
Yeah, so we got an Airbnb for this tournament here at Maple Hill. We're going to be 30 minutes from the course. But like you're saying, these quick turnarounds, they're no joke. This whole Monday is a travel day. And if you're driving 4 hours like we do, it's a little hard to get out of the car and actually get some good practice in. It's not really that good for you either. And a lot of us feel the tolls of that. So it's tough.
Yeah, for the geography for everyone, you guys are up in Smuggler's Notch is technically the or Stowe. I think those maybe two are interchangeable little towns, and then to get down to Maple Hill, 4.5 hours. Is that about right? And that's assuming you're driving a car and not maybe pulling a big trailer or driving an RV like a lot of our crews are.
Yeah.
So, did you take off on Sunday night and hit the road right away? Because I feel like I saw a lot of our other players were on the course on Monday morning already. What did you do, or did you go out and celebrate, get a little rowdy?
I didn't get too rowdy, I would say, but I did enjoy the night for sure. We did get our Airbnb for Sunday night as well, and that's to just relieve the stress of Sunday. If you don't get an Airbnb for Sunday night, you're gonna have to pack up on the morning of your final round and move out, and that's just too much stress for me to actually have to worry about. But I could understand it in this scenario. The trip's only 4 hours, so if they wanted to finish their round, get on the road, some people could make it there before dark.
Yeah, and like I said, we saw a lot of people now on Monday morning, which was yesterday, and things are kind of weird in the sense that it's Labor Day weekend. But when did you decide, hey, I need to get on the course and I want to start getting some practice in?
For Maple Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got out there yesterday after my trip, actually, like I had kind of advised not to do. It's just the best alternative.
Okay. Yeah, and later I'll quickly throw out, I just commentated around, we had some bonus coverage of you last year, round 1. A spoiler alert for folks, it wasn't your best round, Kevin. I don't know if you remember it, but you and Albert Tom, Gary Patton, and Nate Heinold. So that's going to be coming out in the next day or two, so everyone can get a refresher moving into the 2020 coverage. But let's back up. 4 rounds, GMC, 2 courses. How did you prep for those 2 courses?
Well, we were there for a long time, 3 weeks, I think, to be exact. With all this quarantine going on, the only thing that I could really do is go out there and play when they would let us. There were quarantine hours. I'm not sure were you aware of those? Yeah.
So they had No, I'm not familiar. I mean, I know you had to be there so many days, and then you also had to then take a test and have that come back negative. But like, were they trying to limit the amount of people on the course? Did they break you guys up by last name? Like, what were they doing? Were they handing out hall passes?
Kind of. For those of us who were quarantining for the 2-week period, we were only allowed like early mornings. We had to be off the course by 9 a.m. or we could go back on at 6 p.m. for the first week of that.
What was the reasoning for that?
To keep us quarantining players away from other people.
Oh, from other players on the course.
Quarantine.
Oh, okay.
Ah, wow.
That's
okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting and really difficult. Like
exactly. So, I mean, that's kind of like that's what our schedule looked like for a week, and then the next week it was a little more lenient, meaning they let us get on from 3 p.m. to 6 or 3 p.m. till dark. It was much better.
And that brings up an interesting point because on the tour are obviously thinking ahead, and you're really smart about. I see a lot of you trying to play practice rounds sometime around when you think you're going to be playing during that week. In your case, that's probably a 2 or a 3 o'clock start, something like that. The women, typically are in the early to mid afternoons now, so you don't see them necessarily. I think worrying about 8 a.m. practice rounds. But did that throw you off at all with kind of how you've been planning out the rest of your year?
No, I wouldn't really say so. I've actually never really tried to practice during the week at the same time that I planned on teeing off. So I should consider it, though. It's a good idea.
I just think like the wind reads, every wind is probably the number one factor, and maybe a little bit moisture on the ground. I mean, let's face it, you're going to have different conditions at 9 a.m. than you are at 3 p.m., in terms of dew and humidity. I'm not trying to throw pro tips around for you, Kevin. I'm just saying.
I like it, actually.
The 2 courses, most of our events, with the exception of Ledgestone that you were just at, most of our events, we're pretty much playing 1 course. I know early in the year we have 2 at the Memorial, but very different courses. Break them down. Pretend no one's ever been there before. Break down the 2 courses, how you view them.
Well, we have, first of all, a road that separates, like a dirt road that you enter on to enter the course, and they separate your 2 courses. The left side of the road being Fox Run, your open course with ropes, green meadows, and some beautiful like portions of trees that we kind of dip into, but not really enter into for the most part. But and then on the other side of the road is your Brewster Woods course, in which you have all of the cleanest wooded lines that you can pretty much do for wooded disc golf, like almost the best that you could ever expect a wooded course to become. It's just like very clean fairways, long with par 4s, no par 5s I would mention, but the par 4s are beautiful. Oh, and the interesting thing about Brewster is you play 9 holes up the mountain and 9 holes down the mountain. So literally, like, you're playing your first 9 holes are uphill shots, almost every one of them, and then the back 9 being downhill.
Would you say, and that's a great note to make, but it's very gradual for the most part, right? Like,
yes.
Even in thinking about the round, and I've been out to Brewster, a dozen or half dozen times, I wouldn't immediately be like, oh yeah, it's all uphill and then all downhill, but it really is. It's just, they're pretty subtle, isn't it?
Yeah. But until you really think about it, you don't realize that you actually traveled uphill throughout that whole 8-hole front 9.
Yeah, and then you turn around, and you're exactly right. It's almost like a direct reverse too. You almost parallel once you get up to the top, and you come back on hole 10. It's almost an exact parallel of what you just saw on 9, and you're coming right back. Now, huge credit, Steve Brinster and Jeff Spring, who of course the designers and such out there, and put in so much work. But that's a lot of high accolades for Brewster and fully deserved. There's got to be one hole or maybe one tree that you don't love out there.
This isn't Idlewild easy. I mean, there's no trees that are gonna.
No, but is there any hole where you're like, oh man, if I had my way, because I'm the champ, next year if they take out this one tree, is there any hole out there or tree?
No tree that I would have them take down. The issue that they know that they have is the tee box issue on 9 and 10.
Okay.
And Jeff Spring has confirmed that that's like their immediate focus, and that's all that we want as players, really.
Yeah, it's a dip or a mound? I heard some people.
A mound.
A mound. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did see a little bit in the coverage. I know Hannah briefly touched on some of the tees. I do you see some of that maybe at Maple Hill where it's like everyone works so hard to create these gorgeous tees, but sometimes like when they're either the stone tees,
they can shift.
Sometimes maybe they get uneven or a little slick. Do you find that to be a problem sometimes?
No, I actually don't. Maple Hill's tee boxes have been amazing for me. Some of the best that I can imagine. They seem to do really well even when it's pouring rain.
Okay, awesome. Well, and it's not to discredit anyone's efforts. I know there's a couple courses in Wisconsin where they'd worked really hard to put in bricks or pavers or something of that nature, and it's just kind of the wrong texture in the wrong conditions. So hopefully we've got it all figured out. So Brewster Ridge, technical and wooded, but yet you didn't seem to have any problems out there. Kind of break down your game plan when you were heading out to that course.
Well, Brewster is like a course that I expected to get pushed around a little bit on. And so I was kind of prepared to deal with some stuff that I really didn't want to deal with, whether it being a rollaway or bad kicks. And this all happened in the first round to me. I felt like I was actually throwing some of the best. I really wasn't even worried. I was throwing so good, I felt like. And I would end up in these really tough like spots till not the ideal inside the circle putts, but maybe right around your 55-foot range rather than into like a more makeable range. And I capitalized and made a lot of those putts, and that was like a huge factor in keeping my confidence up and keeping the win in sight.
What was it about your putting? I mean, you've obviously are so deadly. Yeah, I feel like in that circle 2 range. But what was it about your putting this weekend? Did you know things were clicking? Things were going your way? The basket was, was enormous. What was it for you?
Yeah, so ever since Ledgestone in my practice rounds, I actually made a thing in my notes, and it was 4 points, but it's just 3 points now that I need to focus on. And if my putt's not feeling good, one of those 3 points is going to tell me how to figure it out.
Huh. Okay. So making notes, kind of like a little, almost a checklist or a diary of sorts, as to what you're looking at. Okay. Do you get that from looking at game tape? Sorry.
No, I don't ever look at game tape for the most part because I don't know. Believe it or not, I just don't do that. I don't know what to look for when I'm doing that. I feel like most of my learning is done in actually feeling the disc come out of my hand or just feeling that pop or stroke that I'm looking for.
So it was interesting. I watched the final round with one of my buddies who's been playing forever, and he said to me, and he's not as up on the times. He's just like, Kevin's a solid putter, but man, that's a really unique putt. And I didn't really have an answer for like how it was developed. So maybe you could explain that. I mean, straddling is nothing new, but yours is a powerful, between the legs, really forceful putt. Can you kind of explain how you developed it?
Yeah, well, I used to putt. I mean, I've putted every way, just like we all have, especially when I'm young, just imitating all these different professionals, whether it was Paul Ulibarri, Nico especially, and that's kind of where I'm going with it. I did the Dave Felberg putt, and I did the old Nate Doss putt when he brought it straight to his chest. Yeah, I mean, I've tried that. I did that for a few months.
I'd love to see that now.
Like go through old file footage.
Yeah.
I actually remember one day I was out at the course, my home course, and I was like doing Nate's putt, and I had my arm way out here, and bringing the disc in here. And I just saw these people. I remember seeing these people over here just looking at me and thought I was so.
It looks like Kevin locked up for a second there. I can imagine if you're not used to seeing something like that, that would look strange. Either someone's looking at you and thinking that you are mocking or trying to emulate Nate Doss, or whether you are or just trying to learn your. I don't know what someone would think about if they saw me doing that.
I don't think
everyone has a unique putting style in general, so.
Yeah, that's just it. Is I feel like I can tell who a pro is, halfway across the course just by watching their putting stroke, and so it's very distinguishable. And yours is the same in that sense. So you feel like you got most of your current influence from Nico? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, Nico. Well, the beauty of it was I really think it's important to take everything that I've learned throughout these putting styles, but also incorporate what I believe is important in the putt and what feels good to me. So after messing around with what Nico does, just like kind of goofing off and putting it like him, I was able to come up with him and then Nate Sexton, another extremely successful straddle putter, and then add like the leg movement, which that's kind of my add-on to it, is the using all of the legs in order to really like take some stress off of your arms whenever you're putting.
Okay, which makes perfect sense. That it's just a full body motion, and you can tell again when from a long distance if somebody's basically an arm putter or if they're how much of their legs they're using. Are they standing still? I think of in an extreme case, I think of an Ellen Widboom when she's very close to the basket. She just stands on one leg and kind of taps in from there, and that's really just obviously an arm motion at that point and not really using her legs. So do you ever feel I think about straddle putters obviously have an advantage in that you're less likely to be in an awkward position. Yeah, obstructed. But do you ever feel like, because you bring it so low, does tall grass, do things like that kind of, impede your swing through or your follow?
Yeah, well, grass absolutely messes with me, believe it or not. So yeah, if I'm in uncut grass, I'll have to kind of squat a little bit less, but for the most part, I just don't worry about it. When it does come into play is when you're in the rough by the basket and you have this brush underneath you, then it's really in your stroke and I'm not able to actually squat while keeping my arms straight. So it affects me there and I just try to squat less.
I think of Ulibarri, Nico, and Ricky. Those three players, better than anyone else I think in the world, can change up their putt mid-round if needed for a situation. When you're talking about something in your way, and whether it's a push putt, a spin putt, a pitch putt, whatever you want to call it, if there's enough headwind, for instance, for Ricky, he has no problem going to a full-out spin putt. How comfortable are you if you do have to switch things up? And have you noticed that from some of those players?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed it from those players, and I use it as a tool for myself. I'm 100% comfortable with switching to a spin putt nowadays. It just takes, if I were to do it, this weekend at Maple Hill, then I would just have a couple days of practice, spin putt practice, and that all that means is just incorporating 50% of my putts as spin putts in my practice time. Okay.
So solid performance, obviously, at Brewster. And now let's talk a little bit about Fox Run Meadows. Or Meadow. Is it plural or not? I always say it wrong.
I think it's singular.
Okay. Moving over to that course, completely different. Like literally the opposite side of the road, and then almost different in every way in terms of, the shots that are being thrown. Are you excited to go over there? Are you excited to air it out in a different style? Are you excited to throw different shots? What's your thought process when you cross the road?
Fox Run is a lot less stressful for me in the fact of when you throw that perfect shot, you don't have quite as much worry as where it's going to land. There's not as much that can really go wrong whenever you're playing it from spot to spot if you throw that perfect shot. And at Brewster, we throw that perfect shot And a lot of times we're still like, all right, I just hope it got that extra bit of love that it needed to be in the perfect spot.
Yeah, because
If that
5 feet can make a huge difference on that course.
Mm-hmm.
On Brewster, to be 5 feet left of the gap that you're aiming for, as opposed to 5 feet right, because then you're looking at like maybe having to straddle out and throw a forehand versus looking for a tiny gap in the trees. We saw that all weekend.
Yeah.
So a little more forgiving out there. And are you nervous about the OB lines? I mean, I ask that because I feel like if someone's playing well, it doesn't even matter that the OB lines are out there. Are you thinking about them that much out there?
Well, I think there's just a couple specific holes where it really comes into play. And those holes are like hole 4, hole 5. So hole 4 is the shot where we throw into the island fairway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a crucial shot. You got to hit that shot. Otherwise, you're par at best, possibly worse if you didn't cross inbounds. So there's that hole. And then you've got the long downhill hyzer, hole 5, which is a really crucial hole. That gets a little bit scary. I threw it out of bounds in my final round, actually, and that was really nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I want to kind of talk about that little sequence that you had, because we're going into the 4th round. You had, what was it, a 4-stroke or 6-stroke lead going into the round? I forget.
6.
6-stroke, yeah. And you get to hole 4 and you kind of doink a putt. You know, I think you missed a 25-footer or something along those lines. And then you walk up to 5, and no offense, but I think you threw the worst shot I've ever seen on that hole. Because thankfully for us, we only cover usually lead cards, so it's always you top pros. But you just got it flipped over, and the wind took it forever. Like it just.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It was awful. It was one of the worst shots that I've ever thrown in disc golf, and just totally uncharacteristic because there's just no reason for me to throw a shot like that. It was obviously a mix of nerves, but also me trying to do something that I wasn't prepared to do. I tried to power down a little, like a touch on my distance driver. Because in the previous 2 times that I've thrown the shot, I went OB long, actually, and had to make a putt for par, which I didn't want to have to do that then. So I tried to power down just a little bit, and it went horribly wrong.
Okay, that's a perfect answer, because I was going to ask you whether it was nerves after missing that last putt, or whether, it was just, like you said, a malfunction, because we saw that. One other time was at Deglow on the I think it was a par 4 where you're throwing uphill. You had like a 100-foot approach that you just yanked to the right.
Yeah.
Sorry, this isn't bringing.
This is what we do. We're just here to bash.
We're here to bash you. And I just didn't know if it was something similar to that. If it was like, if that's an issue you have when you have to adjust either distance or anything like that. If you find yourself having issues with your throw or how you get over that.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Those are both issues of me doing something that I don't have that 100% confidence in. And it's just whenever it comes down to it, and in those high pressure moments, you have to be 100% confident with whatever you're doing.
Well, hole 5, you were I don't want to say fortunate. You were skillful enough to be able to put it like 10 feet from the basket or something on your approach. You took your bogey 4 on that hole and walked away and moved to the next hole where you didn't seem like at that point you had any issues. You didn't take your foot off the gas at all, and you just kind of quote unquote cruised to the victory.
Yeah, kind of. That was great in the fact of where I got to scoot up to a comfortable putter shot distance. I executed the putter shot to 20 feet and then making that and then getting off the hole with only 1 stroke damage. And I can just look past it. I'm like, it didn't even matter.
And if I recall, I think that comes in as one of the most difficult holes on the course relative to par. If I guess I don't.
Hole 5.
Maybe I'm just making that up, but I thought that's what I remember seeing or hearing at one point. Yeah. And there's very few birdies on that hole, and 5th most difficult. So it's definitely in the tougher range, and it averaged 3.52 in that final round. So for you to walk away with a bogey, it's not like you walked up to a deuce hole and you took a double or something crazy like that. You managed it all right. So I'm going to go to another point because I only heard about this after the fact, which was right after that or shortly after that drive, and Johnny can correct me, but shortly after that, there was a piece or a clip or a montage that had been ready that kind of discussed or addressed sometimes where you've struggled with the lead going into a final round or a tournament?
Or just close.
Or when things have been close. Yeah. Immediately after it had happened, there was a conversation online on Facebook about whether or not that was mean or condescending or punitive, maybe is a strong word, if that was something that was appropriate from the sports world, whether it's from SmashBoxx or Disc Golf Network or whatever. Did you hear any of that conversation first? And then second of all, what's your take on it?
I actually did. I got the chance to watch it myself. Okay. And I caught it by accident because I was just checking out the coverage after I won and was watching all my shots before Jomez came out, I think even. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing it, and honestly, all I did was like laugh at it, and the fact of like it was really kind of beautiful that like, yeah, I'm glad they showed everybody that, and I just did the opposite in this weekend, and that it didn't matter to me at all. So, yeah, it was 6. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was gonna say it's, as being here behind the screen and the guy who's, Mo and I here work a lot together, and Mo had actually said, "Hey, we have this asset. Let's play it," because Kevin had just, as I said, missed the shorty and then thrown it out of bounds. And it's our job, obviously, to prepare viewers for things that either could happen or are happening. And as I say the same thing about our announcers, we're not rooting for anybody. We're rooting for the best story alive. For us, the best thing for Kevin would have been to make it close on hole 18 somehow to make it, all of our viewers there. But when everything gets shut down after the thing, we all have our cheers. And I remember Nate Doss, like everything got shut down. He's like, "Yeah, that was great shooting by Kevin. Like that's awesome." And nice. It's really funny to see some of these guys, like, as I'm sure you see online people that say, commentators, you've done your fair share of commentating, how people think they pick favorites and this and that, and it's just really funny when you get down to the nitty gritty of what we should and shouldn't show. But you, as like you said, you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree with though. I think it just adds to the picture and the story, and people should need to know that story for sure.
Because you're erasing it. That's exactly what you're doing. We're showing everybody like, hey, this is what's happened in the past. And Kevin, you're saying, cool, that's the past, and this is the now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you could touch on it, but I feel like, as we said, there's a story, and that's been an old narrative, and that narrative, once it's shared, like you said, people know about it, and I think a lot of people are saying we have to take a little bit of the, we'll say the friendships and the personalities out of it, and be a little bit more objective. Do you know what I mean? From a commentator and from a storytelling perspective, yeah, it's tough because we're all like friends, and we all, nobody wants to see somebody else fail.
Exactly.
But we have to also be always telling a story. So, okay, well, it was a very talked about topic. And I was, I think you being a sports enthusiast and a diehard and a competitor the way you are, I feel like if there's anyone that does maybe either understand and agree with what happened, I think you would be on the top of that list, maybe more than others.
Yeah, I definitely understand how it works, and I see why they did it. I'm glad they did it. That's why I was like, I really was laughing right when they started showing it. They had all kinds of misses, putts, tree hits, like it was beautiful. I was loving it.
Yeah, and as I told people, I'm like, we're kind of prepared for a lot of different scenarios, and if things go the other way, we might have a different asset that we're playing, or if suddenly if Ricky charges up from the second card, maybe we're playing a different asset than that. And it's so much fun to be here and see everything that we don't get to play, things that we don't get to show, and you're like, oh, we spent like a half hour making that and it never made the air. Oh well. So
yeah, I think that's great that someone like Mo had the foresight to put together all of those pieces. And like you said, we have a half dozen of those in the can, and it's just a matter of finding out, which one's the most appropriate one at any given time. Where a couple years ago, none of those, we didn't have those capabilities, and that just hopefully goes to the overall broadcast and the storytelling. So you start to bring things in out there on Sunday. At any point, do you feel like this is a little too close for comfort? Like you're either, a little bit more nervous or you're thinking about things. At any point, do you feel like, I know you're not keeping track of the score, but do you feel like things are too close for comfort at any point?
Yeah, all day and all night before.
Okay. So maybe the follow-up is there any lead that you're somewhat stress-free? Like, let's just play pretend. And in Kevin's magic world, you've got 18 strokes clear. After 3 rounds, you've got 18 strokes clear. Are you still just as nervous going into the final day?
I'm finally going to be okay. If I have 18 ahead, that's where I might draw the line, because disc golf is so weird, and like you have to get birdies, like meaning you still have to like throw semi-decent shots in order to like close it down on Sunday. And so 6 strokes, if I shoot even, it's over. I'm out. So you guys still have to like play pretty solid. So like that's the way I see it, and that kind of makes that championship Sunday like pretty awesome, because like we have to be special every day that we play in order to win.
I know this is all, hindsight's 2020, but do you like that you finished the event at Fox Run as opposed to Brewster? Because 6 strokes is a little bit of a cushion. I would think you would feel more comfortable with 6 strokes at Fox Run than you would feel with 6 strokes going into a final round at Brewster, or am I just projecting?
No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly how I would see it, and that's how I did see it. I'm glad we played Fox last, and it's just, it's something they do every year. We play that tournament, but I do see that as an advantage.
All right, so this weekend, MVP, one of the most beloved courses in the country, in the world even, and I feel like it is a little more similar to Brewster than it is to Fox Run, or not. Like, give us your comparisons, or maybe compare it to a few other courses that people have seen you play this year.
Yeah, it has some feelings of Northwood to me. Northwood Gold in Peoria, Illinois, that we played for Ledgestone and Worlds last year. And the fact of
Might have lost or froze. Kevin froze up here for just a second. I'm not sure if he can hear us at the moment, but right now Kevin is just slightly froze. Okay, you back?
He was for a second. He moved.
He's doing stop motion.
Am I back?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
We're
there
back.
you go.
Thanks.
So you were saying that a little bit of you were talking about Northwood and how it was a little bit of a feeling of Northwood, and that's where you froze up.
Yeah, so some of the fairways at Northwood are just really important to get off the tee in a great direction, and it's kind of the same feelings here at Maple Hill. If you get off the tee in a really good direction, you're going to be off to a way better start and a way less stressful round than if you're grip locking or missing fairways.
Is there a stretch on the course you like or feel it maybe is a little more crucial, or that you amp yourself up a little bit more for?
Yeah, it's kind of it works in like the way of where holes 1 and 2, I would really like to get at least one of them, and then you've got 3 and 4, which are 3. I'm sorry, yeah. There's just a few little pockets of scoring for myself. 1 and 2 are one of them, and then you've got the little downhill tunnel hole 4. That's a birdie hole. The sidearm over the water, the hole after that, birdie hole. And then you got the island hole. That's the next birdie hole.
Oh, yeah.
And then I enjoy the castle hole and the 2 holes after that. Actually, yeah, pretty much once the castle hole hits, I'm like really looking to put it in gear and get a bunch of birdies.
Okay. Well, a spoiler for everyone waiting on last year's first round coverage. You outdrove the castle hole last year during the first round.
Wow.
And it looks like we might have lost you on that. Even your internet connection couldn't believe
Dang
it.
it.
Okay, no, you're good. We
It's
got
all right.
you.
It's all right.
All good. I was
You
just saying that last year you outdrove the Castle Hole, and it's marked at 380. How far does that feel like you have to throw it to get up there and get past the basket like you did last year first round?
I'd say 500 feet at least.
Okay. It's just a crush.
It's a steep incline.
Yeah, and it's just brute force to get it up there. There's no room for the frisbee to work at all.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little flip up, and otherwise pretty much it's a straight hyzer shot. Flip up to straight, and maybe a little bit of finish at the end. Now, we'll ask Steve this, but you've been out there, so we're going to ask you, what any course changes? Anything that was notable to you from last year versus this year's course out there?
Nope, I haven't noticed any changes at all so far. Looking the exact same as last year. It looks good to me.
What is your plan? Well, we're going to fast forward just a few days. You're crowned champion on Sunday at MVP. We're going to have a new champion in Kevin Jones. After you're crowned champion there, what do the next couple of weeks look like for you? Oh, okay. Now it looks like you're back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're all good.
Yep, you're good.
You're all good. We're going to wrap up soon, so no worries. But I was just asking, what are the next couple of weeks? Let's say you have a great weekend. After your jump in the pond come Sunday night at MVP, what do the next couple of weeks look like for you as the season's starting to really slow down?
Yeah, so it's perfect for me. I get to go back to Arkansas after Maple Hill. My best friend from high school is actually getting married, so it's my first friend from high school that's going to put the ring on it. So that's kind of cool for me to go back home and see. So I'll have a weekend off for that, and then Jonesboro is going to be the weekend after, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're looking at
First weekend in October.
Yes.
Is for Jonesboro. Yeah.
So you may even have
last week of September.
Oh, is it the last week of September?
Mm-hmm.
You sure on that?
Yeah, because USDGC is the first week of October, right?
Well, they're talking about. I thought I saw that Jonesboro was going to be the 1st through the 3rd, and then have USDGC starts technically on the 7th. But
I may have seen that. That may be right.
So you might have even an extra week off than what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Johnny's.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Somewhere we'll put a camera up somewhere.
October 1st through 3rd is Jonesboro. Yes. So
okay.
and then we'll have a couple day break and then get into USDGC.
Cool. So more time in Arkansas for me then.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly. What do you think I know you just discovered you have an extra week, but what will that mean for you to be in your home state for a couple of weeks?
It'll be great. I haven't actually been in Arkansas in a long time because I've been staying in Columbia, Missouri with my dad, where he's just working his new job and everything. But I'd go back to my college town and see a bunch of old college friends, and then maybe up to Fayetteville as well. And I've got a couple other high school friends around there, college friends.
Well, and the last time we talked to you, you talked about your dad's new job. He was an assistant coach in St. Louis. Mizzou.
His old job or his new one?
I don't know.
Yeah. What's his new one exactly? I think his dad's going to be in IT. No, I'm just kidding. We'll see if we can. Okay, Kevin, you there?
So.
All right. Now we got you, buddy.
We got you back, and we'll wrap this up pretty quick. So we just asked, like, what is your dad's current job right now?
And how's it going with
COVID?
For him? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fortunately for them, the SEC is still playing, so he still has a job. He is the assistant or senior assistant to the head coach is the title of his job, but he's like a facilitator for the whole team. He works with the quarterbacks a lot, and he's the guy that they're going to be going to for the statistics on whether they should go for it on 4th down or if they should kick field goals, onside, etc.
Awesome. All right. Isn't there a whole story about some coach that went for it on every 4th down, no matter what? He ran all the numbers, and no matter what, just every time went for it on 4th down. Am I crazy?
I don't think it was every time, but a majority of the time.
No, I think it was every time, wasn't it, Kevin?
Oh, was
yeah,
really?
His name is Kevin Kelly, or is Kevin Kelly. He's an amazing coach. My dad's really good buddies with him.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw a story once about like no matter what the situation, like
Wow.
100% of the time they go for it on fourth down. Just statistically, he says it's better, right?
Yes, and they onside every time as well.
Yes. Okay, I do remember that too. Huh. Man, I'm gonna learn me some football. All right, Kevin. First and foremost, again, congratulations. I'm a little saddened I didn't get to talk to you over the weekend because I wasn't there. But congratulations, it's awesome to see. Shout outs, sponsors, thanks, all that. We'd love to have you shout everybody out.
Yeah, Prodigy Disc is treating me really well, and their plastics flying incredibly. I've really been loving my 750 A3. It's a sweet disc for like forehand torque or even backhand with nice stability on it as well. My Team Cedar Creek friends back in Arkansas and Legit Disc Golf as well are all sponsors that support me.
Well, it's been incredible. Everybody knows how close you've been. We know how much you've wanted so many of these big wins, and so to watch you to take this one down was incredible. And I don't expect any loss of momentum as we move into the next event and the remainder of this year. It should be a lot of fun to watch you play out the rest of this 2020 season.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, first of all, for having me on. I'm really sorry about the connection issues.
Not a big deal.
But I appreciate it very much. And yeah, it feels great. I feel like I can really do some good damage in the next tournaments coming up.
I wouldn't put it past you. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we'll be excited to watch. We know the whole world will be cheering, and we know you'll be cheering on your fellow competitors as you're such a great sportsman out there. And again, I think everybody's rooting for you, no matter what they throw or who they are. They're rooting for you and your success, along with us here in the booth. We appreciate it, pal. Have a good night.
Yep, you guys as well. Talk to you soon.
Have a good night,
we'll
buddy.
see you this weekend. All right. So Kevin Jones.
Fan favorite, I would say.
I mean,
like,
come on.
It seems like there's not a person normally you go online and some people aren't very nice to some people.
No way.
Really, once in a while.
Once in a while.
And I don't know if I've ever seen a bad word about Kevin Jones.
There would be if you've got I think we can, change up one of the phrases that I've heard thrown around there about significant others. But I would say if you've got a problem with Kevin Jones, you've got a problem with yourself.
More or less.
Yeah.
You need to look internally at that point.
Just such a gracious winner, a gracious competitor, and also gracious in defeat. He's been so close so many times. Everybody knows, I love when people are like, oh, I think Kevin Jones is going to win a big one, or he's going to break through, or he's going to win a Worlds. We're like, yeah, we know. It's just a matter of when. So,
and it's kind of funny because I know we touched on the highlight topic.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And it's not like he's never won a Pro Tour event.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, he won Idlewild 2 years ago. Is that what?
2 or 3 now?
2 or 3 years
and
ago.
He was close. The 1 year he didn't win,
and he was close. And then he was close at Ledgestone, and so it's not like he hasn't gotten that.
Correct.
It's just that he kind of had and I don't even know if it was a stigma, but it was just always right there. And I think
little hitch in his giddy up.
Little hitch in his giddy up, as Terry apparently says. There was really only one event that you could say he really he blew. The other ones he was always just close for. So it's good to see him on the podium. It's good to see Kevin playing so well because he's just such a nice guy. Gosh.
All right. Well, speaking of nice guys, I think we've got Disc Golf Nerd, who is a gracious contributor to us. He's obviously out there killing it, doing tons of disc golf, disc reviews, and other things. So we encourage you to go out and like, share, subscribe to his channel and everything that he does. But he specifically puts together clips for us here at Smashbox, which we are open to. We work with a couple of contributors. Him and Ace Run Pro have been the two that have stepped up most recently, and we're so glad to have them and work with them so that we can kind of cross-promote one another. It looks like Johnny V's got it all queued up that he's got a disc review. Looks like it's going to be just a little over 2 minutes. He has longer, more detailed, in-depth reviews, again, on his YouTube channel. Please go find him. That is Disc Golf Nerd. I think we're going to cut away. We're going to listen to Disc Golf Nerd disc review here, and when we come back, we should have the I don't know if they still call it the greatest hair in disc golf or not.
Not anymore.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see how we can get back to that form. We're gonna have Steve Dodge, Boda brother and co-creator of Birdie Disc Golf. We'll have Steve Dodge join us, and we'll talk to him about this upcoming weekend. So we'll stand down for a moment. We'll be back in a few minutes with Steve Dodge, and right now we've got Disc Golf Nerds Disc Review.
What's up, Smashies? I am back, and this time we are taking a look at a new disc from Innova. This is the Star Invictus. The Invictus is a 10-speed disc. The flight numbers are 10, 4, 0, and 3. I would say those are pretty close to spot on from my testing. It is a distance driver, but it's definitely on the slow side for a distance driver. But this is something you're going to throw more for accuracy than full raw distance, being a pretty overstable mold overall. Good feel in the hand, nothing terribly remarkable to tell you about in terms of the shape of this disc. You can see it here next to a Firebird. It is definitely somewhat similar to the Firebird, but the flight numbers on the Firebird being 9304. I think it makes sense. It's faster, not quite as overstable, and will definitely stretch a little bit more distance than the average Firebird you're going to run into out there on the course. Good feel in the hand. The Star Plastic is one of the best plastic blends on the market. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with this type of plastic. It's really high quality, and it has a great feel straight off the shelf and will continue to feel great and fly great for a long period of time. In flight, the Invictus is a really nice, stable to overstable flyer. I think what this thing would be best suited for would be either power players looking for a disc they can really rip into, not worry about it flipping over accidentally. It will hold straight up to speed, and it'll always have a nice fade and hook up at the end of the flight. For me and players in the kind of more amateur speed level in terms of your throw, you're going to find this thing to be more of a control, overstable disc, similar to something like a Firebird. But what I like about it is that it's definitely more throwable, gets easier distance, and will stretch out a little bit farther. So if you don't have a big arm, you don't need something quite as overstable as like a flat top Firebird or a Latitude 64 Pioneer or a Dynamic Discs Felon or any of those type of discs. The Invictus can be a great option for that, because with that little bit of extra speed and extra glide out of this thing, you can get a little bit more flight out of it before that aggressive fade kicks in. Be a phenomenal forehand disc for just about anybody. I found it to be a really effective flex flyer. Also great for any of those times we need to throw into the wind or anything moving from right to left. Solid disc that I enjoyed testing very much. Thank you so much to Smashbox for having me be a part of the show. I really appreciate the continued support. Head over to YouTube to check me out, Disc Golf Nerd. You can find me on there. You can find me on Instagram, Patreon, all that good stuff. I will talk to you all very soon. Cheers.
Wow, Disc Golf Nerd with the new logo at the end, with him in the dark throwing, like, that looks really nice.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Disc Golf Nerd, in the Invictus by Innova. We appreciate the review. I think we're going to have Steve Dodge here in just a few moments. He can just turn his camera, the phone that he's working, if he wants to rotate that 90 degrees. That will help fill up our screen a little bit.
Hold on a second. I'm having a slight...
Johnny V here is going to press a button or two while we can make that happen.
Something's locked up with the system here.
All right.
We might be having a slight issue here.
Do we have an official technical difficulty?
We have
Would this be our first one?
This would be our first ever technical difficulty, Terry Miller. I can't seem to change anything. Yeah, like something clicked and we might. I'm sure everyone's here, but we might.
I have to call Steve back.
We might, because I can't click on anything.
In the meantime, while you're doing that, I'm going to just say, yes, Disc Golf Nerd, not a shameless plug, saying he's got his 10,000 subs giveaway still live.
Hold on.
So please go out. And, all right.
People can still hear us, but for some reason, they're, hold on.
They're just going to watch our screen.
There we go.
Wow.
There's a lot of issues there suddenly. Like the whole system locked up for a second, and
my mic isn't live. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, we broke everything, but we're back. So
are we ready to go?
I think we're ready to go. We have Steve Dodge in the Disc Baron Digital Green Room.
And with that being said, it sounds like everything's back. Steve breaking the internet. What's new? Coming in from the Disc Baron Digital Green Room, we welcome Steve Dodge.
Hey, Steve.
Hello there, Johnny. Hi, Terry. How are you guys tonight?
Couldn't be any better. We got...
And this is your 314th episode, your Pi episode?
You got it.
Yeah, 314.
How fitting for a math guy like yourself.
And a gentleman who has such an association with pies.
Yeah, and was our first ever guest.
I do love pie.
What's your favorite?
It's in the process of changing. I'm becoming a lemon meringue guy.
Oh. I'm a traditional apple guy. I love me some apple pie.
Okay, so what are you converting over from if lemon meringue is the new one?
Boston cream.
Which is that like a Bavarian filling of sorts, or like a custard in it, or is that a lighter, fluffy filling?
I think it depends who makes it, but I've never had a bad one, so they're all good.
Okay. So it's been a little while, Steve. So glad to have you back. Thank you for joining us. And man, you've been busy. Is that a fair statement?
No. I don't think I've ever been lazier in my life.
Well, what are you talking about? I see posts about the new golf game going out,
The
Kickstarter, and now you're working on other games. Plus, you're working on what expansion packs for this game. How does that not mean you're busy or not busy?
Once a week, I make a post on social. What a life!
Well, maybe it's just because I have you favorited. I always see it, and I'm like, oh, look at that guy working hard.
He posted something.
All right, well, let's start there. We want to get a little bit into an MVP preview as well, but let's start with the game. Birdie, is it available to the general public? How many people have them? Can we get more? Are we expanding? What's going on?
So Birdie is available. You can go to BoaterBrothers.com and get yours. You can also purchase it at most major disc golf retailers. And we have it comes with Maple Hill, which is a pretty good course. And we have an expansion pack that we've created, and I'll go ahead and tell you, we've already ordered the expansion pack. Our Kickstarter's not over yet. We've already ordered them because we already blew through our goal, and we're actually really close to reaching our stretch goal. And if we reach our stretch goal, we're going to include some course-specific cards. It's an expansion pack that's 2 new courses, namely Yarva and Eureka. And if we blow through our expansion, our stretch goal, we will include 4 players in the game as well. And those 4 players are Sarah Hokum, Valerie Jenkins, Kevin Jones, and Ricky Wysocki. And I don't know if you guys know Kevin Jones, but he's a relatively new player, very good, pretty exciting young face.
He's been shooting pretty well lately, I heard.
You should introduce us to him sometime.
You know what? He's here. I bet we could get him on the show.
So now that you're fully in tune and up to date with everything going on in the Pro Tour world, what have you been consuming in terms of disc golf? I mean, obviously a crazy year with COVID, but how and what are you consuming?
So I became a subscriber to the Disc Golf Network thanks to my PDGA coupon code.
Okay.
And nice. I've been watching Party with Hannah, which I love the way that they bring a whole new energy. Hannah's very insightful. I learned at the GMC that she loves Paul Macbeth. So that was nice.
She did say I love you after an interview.
I say that all the time. It doesn't mean anything.
I will admit that most of what I've been consuming is on Disc Golf Network. I love having one. It's silly for me to even say that, but I love having one channel that has a whole bunch of different options. I can look at all these interviews. I can look at past events, and I can watch new shows like Party and see everything in one place. I love it.
What's been the biggest shock or surprise for you this year, if any? Again, we're always keeping in mind the whole COVID situation, but whether it's the play or the outcomes or the new events or whatever, has there been anything that's been really shocking to you? I mean, you've been around a while.
I have been around a while. I would say the parity on the men's side has not been a surprise, and I'm really excited to see it. always wanted to see that type of thing. And then when somebody wins a few events in a row, that will be the story. That'll be it'll be a surprise that happens, as opposed to, okay, Ricky and Paul are winning everything, or Kenny and Barry are winning everything, which is kind of what our sport's been like for the last 25 years. Right now, we have a tremendous amount of parity, and I kind of view this as one of the golden ages of golf on the men's side. One of the things that I'll go ahead and say has surprised me, Paige Pierce keeps kicking butt. I genuinely expected to see more parity this year on the women's side, and let's hope that MVP can put together a really exciting show.
Okay, I'll follow that up. You have been probably the biggest proponent for course design to create the most compelling golf from the FPO side and the MPO side, but usually it means changes in terms of the FPO-Ts, and that's why I'm singling them out. You've worked really hard on that, and you've talked with all of our top women. Are we trending in the right direction? Are we seeing any more of that? And in terms of the correct course designs and layouts, and is Paige just still winning? Are the usual suspects, it doesn't matter, or do we still have somewhere to go on the course design?
That's a really interesting question, and I had a thank you. I had a really good conversation with Steve, who's doing some Steve. Wow, his name's
Hill.
No, I think he's up in the Midwest somewhere, but he's working with Sarah Hokum and some other top players on what should a women's course look like. This is by no means something that I'm tackling or could even try to tackle. But at Maple Hill, we're doing the best we can to make the women's course as good as it can be for the women. One interesting thing, I actually asked Paige today. I said, "Hey, have you tried teeing off from hole 1 gold? And can you clear the pond from the gold?" And she said she had tried, and she can't. Whoops, where am I going? And she has tried, and she can clear it. And it's pretty easy to say that at some point in the future, distance is not going to be as big an issue as it is currently. As more women get to throwing 500 plus feet on a regular basis. So that's pretty exciting to see. But for the time being, I'm really happy with where the Diamonds is, and I'm really happy that I'm so sorry I can't remember Steve West.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Steve West. Steve West is very popular on the Disc Golf Course Review Board. He does a lot of analytics and stats after every
As
event.
a course designer and such. Yep.
Very thoughtful guy. And he calls me up, and we have great conversations, and I hope to goodness he calls other people, because this one data point is not all you want. But there's a lot of people working on that from an analytics point of view. Here at Maple Hill, we just look at it and say that hole played a little too easy for the women, and let's see what we can do to change it. And this year we've actually made 4 significant changes to the women's course on 4 holes that didn't allow as much separation as we wanted.
Okay, and that was a great question that had come in from the board, and you just segued yourself right into it. So maybe explain those a little bit. I'm going to be in the booth with Val Jenkins this weekend, and I'd like to say we're pretty familiar with the course, but obviously we're not going to know about these changes exactly. So give us the inside scoop.
So the quick rundown is holes 10, 16, 17, and 18 all have new FPO-specific tees. The course that the women are playing is called the Diamonds, and I can run through those changes real quick.
Sure. So 10 is the uphill that Kevin was previously talking about, and how he loved the castle and the brute force that it is to get up there. As we're slightly losing Steve here, we'll see if he comes back.
I can still hear you.
Okay. Now you're back. Your video just froze for a moment. So Kevin was talking about 10 from the men's tee. Just to put this out there, is 380 straight uphill. He feels like he has to throw 500 feet to get up to the platform. In terms of the
it's a
drive,
nice finesse shot.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
finesse shot.
Just a standstill for you.
And I'll admit, I heard Kevin say that, so that was a set piece joke for me.
Okay, nice. You killed it. Just nailed it. Just nailed that drive. All right, so I think you can still hear us. So even though you may have frozen on the screen, break down 10's diamond tee. Where is it?
So it's the old 10 gold tee that we had. It's off to the right. So now it's a dog leg right for the women. Their drive, a great drive, is going to land on the red tee, and that's going to leave them with about 250, which is going to play about 350 up to the castle.
And you're anticipating, that is a par 4.
Yes, absolutely. And then hole 16, instead of throwing through that gap all the way out into the opening, the women go to actually it's an old pin placement as well. Pin placement behind what we call the Y tree. I remember Paul Ulibarri hitting a beautiful putt. I think it was in like 2011 on that hole. It was like a 70 or 80 footer. One of the first times I ever saw him do his step putt. But so the women have it's about 450, and it's about no elevation, but the ground goes down and up, and maybe back down a little bit. So, but if they can do it, it's basically a straight shot. But the terrain is difficult, and towards the green actually fades off right to left. So a backhand thrower at the end of the flight they don't want to finish left or with the disc going left, because their disc will just trail off and they won't have a putt, or they'll have a long putt.
So just
and then 17,
real quick, I want to clarify. So 16, and I just watched footage from it today. 16's a straight tunnel shot. I want to say 530 from the long tee to the to the regular pin that we've seen for the last few years. There has not been any variance from the women playing that hole for those last couple of years. And now you're saying the pin is to the right or to the left, or where exactly is it?
So it's interesting because Maple Hill obviously has a lot of different configurations. The tee is about 30 feet to the left of the gold tee and maybe about 5 feet down in elevation. And the basket is probably 100 feet shorter and about 50 feet to the right. And it doesn't leave the woods. So it's a straight shot. It doesn't. It's funny. It doesn't look like a straight shot, but from the tee you can see the basket, and you can go right at it. So.
Okay. Now I think I've got it. And Tim on the board says Simon did a preview vlog of the Diamond course a couple months ago. So okay, everybody go watch Simon do stuff. All right. So 17 and 18, break those down.
So 17, they used to play from the white tee, and it used to be a really short par 4. They'd get up to the dog leg pretty easily, and then they'd have about a 180-foot upshot. And we moved the tee back about 60 or 70 feet, probably about 5 or 10 feet lower. And now it's a pretty good pump to get to the corner. Plus, there's a couple of field goal trees that you have to get between. It's probably about an 8 to 10-foot gap, and you're probably teeing off about 40 to 50 feet from that gap. So you have to put some pretty good power on the shot. You're throwing uphill, and you have to throw in between 2 trees. So it's going to be a really good birdie as opposed to an expected birdie.
Yeah, and with not making it up to the bend, where you're talking about not getting to the landing zone, assuming you throw a good shot that makes the field goal trees, but then doesn't actually get to the corner, you're going to use a stroke just to get up there, and then you're probably laying up simply because it's going to be a really fast downward green. So, that definitely sounds like it's going to possibly trim a stroke off quite a few of the scores that are out there. Right. And then 18, I've seen 18 in like 39 different places in the 10 years I've been there. What are they doing this year? At least he's got a nice big smile on his face.
It could have been a worse spot way to freeze.
As he's slightly frozen. All right, you froze for a second. You were laughing when I said it's been all these different places. What's happening on 18?
I wanted to point out 17 is an elevated basket.
Yep.
And so if you don't get around that corner, you're 100% right. If you're outside of 40 feet, you're almost guaranteed you're laying up to that. Mm-hmm. On the drive, one thing you want to think about, Terry, is they're going to want to, if they can't make that corner, they're going to want to cheat their disc left so that they have a better angle going into that dog leg.
Perfect.
So,
yep. Okay.
And then on hole 18, the tee it's so beautiful. It's a place that I've wanted to tee for about 10 years now, and we've just never quite had the gumption to make this tee. And we finally did, and I'm so happy. It was the very first diamond tee, and I'm just tickled to death that it's been a hole that I've wanted for so long. And it plays, it starts right on the wall, right on the stone wall, and it plays up to the right of, if you remember all those trees that are there in the fairway, there's now a gap to the right of those to the stone wall. And it's probably 50 to 80.
I like he was going to say 50 to 80 feet shorter.
Yeah, sorry. You were saying it's going to be 50 to what?
50 to 80 feet shorter. That's absolutely right, Johnny.
All right.
Okay.
But you're throwing through a tunnel instead of having a wide open shot.
Okay.
Were you seeing just too many pars on 18? Is that kind of the philosophy here, or not necessarily?
You know, it's interesting because from the white tee, it was too easy for the top players to birdie. And from the blue tee, it was too difficult for everybody except the top one or two players who can throw distance to birdie. And so this is a really good in-between, which gives, watching the players play it today, everybody gets a look, but it is not an easy look. It's exactly the look you want someone to have with the tournament on the line.
Okay.
Or it's the look I want them to have.
And you're reverse sexist, so you probably didn't care about the men's course at all. You didn't touch any of that, right?
Yeah, who cares?
No changes, though. Kevin didn't see any changes. Is there any that are out there that he maybe just missed?
I don't think there are any changes to the men's course.
Okay.
We got it right. It's perfect. Why would you change anything?
Yeah, you don't tinker with anything. You just let things.
Always. That's what he's known for.
Yes, just
Yes.
dial it in the first time and leave it.
I did appreciate Johnny saying the one thing that was consistent with all the broadcasts over for the first 4 years of the Pro Tour was every broadcast was different.
I don't feel that, but I feel like almost every year had something different. Like we would stick consistent, but for an event or two, and then but then it would be like, hey, let's try this. All right, well, let's try this, and then obviously, as we've said with the FPO coverage, every year it felt like it was something different. Like, hey, let's try recording them and playing them after the fact, or let's try having Terry cut them up and put them in between shots. Let's try doing them live, and it's. I don't know if we've maybe you can talk about this because you've been such a big influence on some of the stuff we've done. Do you feel like we have it right now, or no? Like with the women going with what we're doing?
For where we are right now, I think we have it right. One thing that I was thinking about yesterday, and it's funny that it took me this long in the season to think about this. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was on your show probably about a year and a half ago, maybe.
I like to move like this so everyone at home knows that we're not frozen.
Yeah, that we're not. Any reason why this is happening? I'm starting to wonder if it's us.
No, well, Steve has always had these issues when he's come on.
Okay.
But
so you were on the show about a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago.
Yeah, and I told you guys that I want to do more with less.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember me saying that.
Yeah, that's
once or twice you told us that.
Yes.
And I want to do more and pay you less. I know I said that.
That too, yes.
But it's building with where disc golf is. We need to be as efficient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so last year we had the women go off in the morning, and then the men go off in the evening or the afternoon, and we would run those live U units tired, dead dog. They'd be dead dog tired, as well as the camera operators and the entire team, because we did a 6 or 7 hour broadcast, and we used up a ridiculous amount of data. And what Jeff and the Pro Tour team have done this year is they're using less data, they're using less resources, less man hours, I should say people hours, I guess. And we're getting more viewership on the women, and it's such a good solution, because when the men's round finishes, it's just natural. The women are on hole 6 or 7 or 9,
mm-hmm.
and there's a battle. And yeah, I'm going to keep watching, and I'm going to learn more and more and more about all these women, and it's phenomenal. And I will tell you that my mom at this point is a religious viewer of disc golf. About every other event, she calls and asks for my Disc Golf Network password.
Yeah.
So I guess she can remember it for about an event. And then she loves watching the women. And I'm sure she enjoys watching the men too, but the women get her going, and she wants to watch what's going to happen. And I think if the women went off at 8 in the morning, that's much less likely to happen. So I think this solution is really good for where disc golf is right now. We have a lot of growing pains that we've gone through, and we have a lot more coming up.
Who's Mom rooting for on the female side?
Oh, I was going to say me.
No. She's given up
No,
on
she
you.
likes your brother better.
Yeah.
We know.
That's not even close. It's not even close. I admit, I used to think she liked me better, but oh boy, not even close. So I think she's more entertained by me, but I think she likes Todd better. And I think Todd and I have a sister. So, yeah, who knows?
It's
But,
too bad Boda
who's
Brothers
my-
Games wouldn't know. Is it awkward when you ask her to try out one of your games? Like, oh, would you like to play? And she's like, no, I wasn't invited to be part of the company.
It's not Boda family. It's the Boda Brothers.
It's not Boda. Right. The funny thing is, Todd and I, we came up with the name at the church show that my parents were at. They were doing a musical, and it was Broadway Bound was the name of the show, and every other letter of Broadway Bound is Boda Bud, and so we started calling each other Boda Bud. I genuinely have no idea if our little sister was there. Lisa, my apologies. I don't know if you were there. And so she wasn't a part of that conversation.
Ouch. Okay. No, I mean, it cuts deep. We get it.
I think she's absolutely happy to not be involved in our game company.
I don't know, Steve. You have such a great track record of
what do you any predictions or thoughts for the weekend? Things you'd like to see. Maybe that's even better than a prediction. Things you'd like to see unfold this weekend. We've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday action. It's 3 rounds. I know it was just a year or two ago I was arguing with you about how non-majors shouldn't be 4 rounds. You've trimmed to 3 on this one, even though we just came off 2 4-round tournaments. What are you hoping to see this weekend?
I'm hoping to see, and I hate to get serious about this, but I hope to see a lot of really safe, smart people enjoying the outdoors and enjoying what Maple Hill has to offer, trying to regenerate and reground themselves in the beauty that is this piece of property, and doing it with respect for all of the other people that are here. We have 60 or 70 staff who are going to be here, who will be wearing masks, who will be social distancing, and making sure that everybody, I've told the staff, it's really interesting. When a lot of times in the past, when I've talked to spotters, for example, I'll say your number one job is pace of play, and that we just need to keep people moving. You don't make calls. You're doing all these little persnickety things. And this year, what I'm telling the staff is your number one job is behind that mask. You should have a smile. Let everybody know how happy you are to be here, and be respectful and conscientious and happy. Things are going to go wrong. And if you can treat these things that go wrong with a smile behind your mask, they're going to get resolved a lot easier. So be happy, be respectful. We're out here to enjoy what these great players have to offer, and let's just make that go. That's what I'm looking for this weekend. I'm looking forward to getting through what's going to be a very difficult weekend where there's additional stresses that society and biology have put on us. And let's get through this in the best way we possibly can. And that's, in my opinion, with smiles and respect.
Well, and you brought up volunteers, and I don't think we've had a chance to talk to you about.
I think we need air quotes.
No, I don't think we do. We haven't had a chance to talk to you about your new volunteer policy that you are actually charging. Yeah, you're charging people to come onto the property to volunteer. I don't know if you can call it volunteer then, to work. You're charging them to work at your event. And I personally, I know there was some kickback, as there is about everything that anyone ever does, but I personally love the decision. Has it been successful? And is it something you plan on doing in the future? When we have, because right now there's clearly a demand. People want to see these players in person, so they're going to pay for it. So I can see that somebody is saying that you're kind of holding it for ransom. I don't agree with that, but is this something you could see doing next year when, all the stars align and there's no issues with people being on courses or anything like that? You think you're going to get the same result?
So I'll start here. I'll start by saying in my opinion, we're charging people to be a part of the event. I'll word it that way. Because obviously charging to volunteer doesn't sound right, and charging someone to work on staff doesn't. We're charging them to be a part of the event, and in return, they get to be here for 2 or 3 days and watch the MVP Open from up close and help it succeed, which is something that I believe we all like to do. If there's something that you love and you can help it work, that's a great thing. And the second point I wanted to make is that not all staff is being charged. If you've been on staff for more than 2 years, then you can just be on staff.
Then you can go work for free.
Yes. That the goal here is not to keep. We've always had one of the best staffs in our sport, and I'm super proud of that, and I look forward to continuing that. And I hope that we get a system where we actually rate the staff, because I want to prove to everybody that our staff is the best in the sport. So PDGA or Pro Tour, please start putting that out there where you ask the pros, how was the staff at this event? Let's rate this.
Well, Brody Smith is going to, after talking to him last week, he'd be the perfect guy to come up with the rating system for the staff, because he thinks we need to get rid of it for the players. So let's just transition the rating system over to the staff members.
I don't think he wants to get rid of it.
I'll put whatever words in his mouth I want. Don't worry about it.
So I guess my next question is, one, how many?
Wait, no, I didn't come anywhere near finishing that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have 60 or 70 staff. We normally have 40 to 50 staff. So we got more staff, but we don't have any spectators. So I would totally expect that to be the case. I did shut off the request for staff because it felt like we had enough and maybe too many. And I'm really excited to see how this goes, but I don't want to, with all that's going on, this isn't the year to jump in and say, okay, we have 140 staff. So I cut it off, but we had an initial negative reaction. And I remember when I heard about, I think it was 2011 Worlds, where they were charging, and the one in Santa Cruz was charging for people to be on staff. And I thought, that's ridiculous. That's not what disc golf's all about, and this is stupid. And I even hate playing for money and whatever. And after I looked into what they were doing, I actually contemplated flying out to California and being on staff because I appreciated it, because they were going to give a significant staff pack. They're giving them all their meals. They're telling the staff, we love you and we actually respect and care about you. And it wasn't just come here and be a rented mule. So we're taking that exact model. We're giving a tremendous MVP, who is a phenomenal partner, is giving us tremendous staff packs, and everybody gets fed and everybody gets food and water and snacks, and no hugs this year, but hopefully I will be able to impart how significant the staff is to me and to this event. So I'm right now I'm leaning towards doing this again. I'm leaning towards charging for staff again and being able to give the staff a tremendous staff pack and a phenomenal experience.
I think you should.
Thank you. Michael, who was out here helping set the course up with me this afternoon and morning, commented how excited he was. He volunteered to be on staff again. I believe he paid, and I don't know if he needed to. He was excited to get the staff pack, but he commented that he was holding the rope line, and he said it was awesome. Like, you asked me to hold the rope line. I didn't know what that meant. What it turns out it meant was there's 300 people behind me. He's like, I got a front row seat and free food. Like, what could be better? So I think there's definitely some advantages to being on staff and being sort of behind the scenes, and having the winners of the tournament thank you almost in person, in a very personal way after the tournament, which is one thing we make sure to do. The staff know they're loved, and they know they're helping to make this event a success.
How many, in your ideal event, next year, everything's great, how many staff members would you like to see on the course per day?
If the staff goes really, really well with the number we've got, I could see 100 staff.
Okay. Because I'm trying to think of, like, there are spots where you want 2 spotters on a single hole. There are, and that could be half the holes. And right there you're looking at,
think about that a second, Johnny. Let's pretend you've got a wide open 350-foot hole with no trees anywhere. And why not have 2 spotters on that hole?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you one thing. I'd rather have 2 spotters on that hole than 1.
Back to the math again.
One person standing in a field is bored. 2 people standing in a field are happy.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then you've got people, like you said, people are holding ropes, people refilling water, people just doing.
There's a million.
There's a million tasks that can be done at any particular event. Scorers, UDisc people, all that stuff can all be. I hate to use the term monetized, but it can be. And the thought is, take this to any other event, and if you're looking at, 100 people optimal at $100 a piece, that's an extra $10,000 in the event. Whether it's the purse, the lunches, the facilities, wherever the TD in the TD's pocket, in the club, wherever you want to put that is advantageous to the entire event in so many multiples. And I think that I can't think of a better way to put it. And I found out that the PGA does the same thing when they were here at Erin Hills a couple of years ago. I didn't realize that you get, with the PGA, I think it was 75 or 175, I forget. But you get an entry one day, you get parking, because I think you only work 2 out of the 3 days or something, and then you get free entry the other day, parking, special spots at hole 18 where you get to sit. Like, there's all sorts of perks you get with the PGA, and I think we can easily emulate something like that in our sport.
Right. We don't need to reinvent the wheel 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for the MVP Open? Again, getting through this year and taking all the considerations that we have to do for safety and legalities and everything else. But big picture, moving into next year or the year after, what is next? And I mean that on a grand scale and yet on a generic level. I'm not just talking about how many volunteers we'll be paying next year. What's big? The next big thing for you, Steve?
I was talking with Chris Dickerson yesterday, maybe the day before. I'm not even sure what day it is right now, but it must have been yesterday. I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm on SmashBoxx. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. So my apologies to everybody for wasting 20 seconds. I was talking with Chris Dickerson yesterday, and I said, are you touring full time yet? And he said, we're going to tour probably not the West Coast. And I said, what would it take for you to tour full time? And he jokingly said $1 million. And but it wasn't a complete joke because the thing that it would take is more money. It needs to be worth his while. And I'll say there's probably hundreds of people. They're probably not as good as Chris, but they are very high quality disc golfers. And if we had significantly improved purses, they would probably be on the road giving it a try. And so for me personally, the fact that the Pro Tour is succeeding is a dream beyond exactly right at the top of my wildest expectations. And giving these amazing players a great platform is exactly the goal. We've done that. The next step is to increase these purses significantly. I want Chris to go touring because he'd be stupid not to. That's my goal.
So to bring that to you specifically, though, and to apply that specifically.
Well, I just said it, Terry. I want to raise the purse of the MVP Open by a ton.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to clarify. You're looking to wildly increase the purse at your specific event. Do you want to be the richest event in disc golf?
Sure.
I mean, there's a fellow I'm just saying, there's a fellow Pro Tour and PDJ board member currently, who you know and you're friends with, in Nate Heinold, and clearly now they have a larger magnitude because of the courses and the scope of their overall event, but the added cash that goes into that event over at the Ledgestone, along with the ginormous fundraising that goes to St. Jude, I feel like Nate has really, as an individual event, has really raised the bar, and you're looking to squash that. You're looking to get way past that.
I don't want to squash what Nate's doing in any way.
Well, I mean, you want to dwarf his efforts. That's a better word.
I can't imagine that happening anytime soon. But I would love for Nate to look over his shoulder and say, there's some tournaments, not just the MVP Open. There are some tournaments that are stepping up, and we need to make sure our game's on top. Maple Hill is currently the one of the top courses. I'll say the top course in America, according to UDisc. And I fully intend on Maple Hill remaining there, which is why we invest so much into Maple Hill every year. You don't get to be number one without work, and you don't get to stay number one without work. So I'm in no way expecting to catch up to Nate. Nate's doing an amazing job and always has. And without Worlds, he's going to be focusing on his event again, and it'll continue to go crazy. But one thing I would like to do at the MVP Open is increase the payout significantly next year.
So I think that's a great goal, and we'd love to see it. I don't know if there's anyone that would disagree with any of that. But when you're talking about the number one course and
it's something that I said. I guarantee there's someone that disagrees.
Good point. All right, well then let's go to something that somebody will disagree with you on for sure, which is I think, and I'll be the first to admit I have not read past the headlines, But do I understand that Maple Hill has gone to strictly a tee time facility or format and arrangement out there? Maple Hill as a course is going to that. So let's fast forward 3 weeks. We're done with this tournament. Fast forward 3 weeks on a Wednesday. Explain what needs to happen if somebody wants to come play out there on any of the tees and in any capacity.
So 2020 is clearly a transition year. We implemented tee times because of COVID in order to keep people spread out all around the course. If you have 40 people show up at 1 o'clock to play last year, then you just had a lot of people on T1 and they would just filter onto the course at whatever pace they did. Now that can't happen because we're trying to slow the spread of COVID. So we implemented tee times, and now you can have a maximum of 5 people going off every 12 minutes. So those 40 people are going to show up at 1, 112, 124, 136, and 148. And if somebody else shows up at that time, I'm sorry, all of those tee times are full. The next time that you can play is 212, or whenever the next tee times are available. And it's going to depend on whether they're a one-some or a five-some. So it's one thing that has happened is the experience for everybody at Maple Hill playing the course, in addition to the member.
You've locked up on us momentarily, Steve.
Ah!
All right, we got you back. You were saying
As a member.
Yeah, as a member, and the experience, and then additionally as a member. Go on.
As a member, you can reserve multiple tee times. So you can play your pre-9 a.m. round, which is members only, and then you can play again at noon, and you can play again at 4, and you can reserve those 3 tee times and know that at every time you play, there's not going to be a gaggle of people. There's not going to be a seven-some in front of you, and there's not going to be 40 people waiting on T1. You're going to have a better quality time at Maple Hill. And then obviously we're investing in the course itself, in the infrastructure of the course, so that your experience is going to improve in that way as well. So we've seen people enjoying the course more. We have not seen a drop in income, and it seems like a plus to us. If we can provide a better experience without losing income, why wouldn't we do that?
First question would be, well, this is more of a statement. A couple of years ago, you made the very conscious decision to you doubled the daily rates to come out there and to play, or the daily rates. I don't know if that was both weekends and weekdays, but you doubled the rates, I know, at some point. And you had said, we want same exact wording. You wanted to make it a better experience for the people that came out. They were paying more.
Right.
However, they were going to have a better experience. So that clearly that theme and that thread that you have is the underlying purpose for all of this. As much as the haters or naysayers or doubters, whatever they come up with, clearly these are well thought out practices for you. My logistical question is, what if somebody doesn't show for a time that they have? Is there any penalty for that? And then also, can you reserve these all online or with an app, or what are they doing?
Oh yeah. So yes, you can reserve online. Go to
Okay, just waiting for a moment for Steve.
my God.
Okay. You said you can reserve these online. Just go to what's the website?
Yes, go to maplehilldiscgolf.com, and you from every page you can click on tee times and reserve a tee time. It's very straightforward. We even have about a 1.5-minute video that shows exactly how to do it. You just go in there, you click how many people you're going to play, you click what day, what time, and then you pay right there online.
Okay.
80% of the people that come to Maple Hill just wave at us in the sap house and say, "My name is Dave, and there's 3 of us here, and we're playing at 12:12." and we look at it and we say, "You're all set. Go have fun." And that's all there is. It's really, really nice. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's incredible that 80% of your people that play there are named Dave. Like, that seems like
it's a very East Coast name.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll leave the math jokes to you. Sorry. So they prepay.
I'm embarrassed that I didn't catch that. Yeah.
So they prepay, and I'm just going to throw it out. You're running 12 minutes late. Your whole group is running 12 or 15 minutes late. Like, what's the grace period? And I know we're kind of getting into the weeds here, but I think this is useful because I know a lot of people, thousands upon thousands, watch this, and when they come visit Maple Hill, the #1 course in the country,
I think you should
Dodge,
get the next open tee time.
Yeah, how does that work?
Reserved.
So if you are a member and you reserve a tee time and you don't show up for that tee time, there is a $5 penalty. And if you are a non-member and you reserve a tee time and you don't show up, and you don't tell us that you're not going to show up, you can tell us up to 1 hour before your tee time if you think you're not going to make it, to get a refund or to reschedule. But if you don't tell us before an hour or within an hour of your tee time and then you don't show up, you've just sacrificed your money, and your money will go to build another tee. And we have had people show up 5-10 minutes late. We've had people call us and say, "We're running 5-10 minutes late." You have a 12-minute window in which you need to tee off, and as long as you tee off in that window, we're all good. So clearly, if someone shows up and they're 1 minute behind outside that window, yeah, we can tell somebody, just go ahead and jump in there, be patient. We're all human, whatever. But in general, we have the policies in place, and we work with people as best we can. We've even had to develop a rain policy, because if you're scheduling a tee time in advance, and then 3 days later when your tee time comes, there's a torrential lightning storm, yeah, you should get your money back, or you should be able to make a rain check or reschedule. So these are all policies that we initially didn't have, and we now do have. So that's just the way things go.
The way things should be.
Is there at any point, I don't want to say do you feel bad, but is there at any point where you're maybe reluctant about all of this structure only for the fact that somebody they're dropping their kid off at college, they found themselves with an extra hour of time, they'd love to go play the best course, in that area. Do you care that there's just kind of no what do they call that, open gym policy, kind of, so to speak? Like, you can't just kind of just show up, or if you do, you're rolling the dice that you might be able to jump onto a tee time with someone?
Pyramids.
I mean, is there
do I care that someone might not be able to play who found that they all of a sudden had an opportunity to play?
Yes.
And we're full on all of our tee times? Yeah, of course. We want, and if we're looking at this as a business, which interestingly enough, we're starting to. We started the course in 2003, and here we are 15, 18 years later, and we're like, maybe we should run this like a business.
Yeah, the 17-year business plan. That's how everyone projects out.
Yeah, exactly. The most profitable way to run a business it's been a long time since I took econ in college.
I thought you were going to say it's been a long time since you ran a profitable business. I'm out!
Too soon.
I was thinking the same, but I wasn't about to say it.
I was watching somebody drive a trailer yesterday, and there was two guys in the truck, and the one guy got out to help guide him, and the driver guy was just not quite getting it, and the other guy said, "Get out of the truck, I'll just do it myself." And I said, "That's exactly what Jeff Spring said to me." Like, you are just messing this up. I would take this. Yes, Johnny. It's been a long time since I had
You've
a
got
problem.
Boda Brothers now. You've got the birdie
Yes,
game, which seemed to be very successful. I love you.
You cut a little too close to the bone. But anyway, I have no clue where we were on this topic. So
you're talking about to run a successful business. You're looking at it as that, and you were saying in an econ, you're taking econ.
Realistically, what you want to do is you want to be about 85% capacity. If you're full, then that means you're not charging enough, and if you're at 50% capacity, then you're charging too much, or your product isn't good, or isn't as good as it should be. And right now we're charging $8 flat rate, weekends, weekdays. 2020 is a transition year. We want to figure all this out. During the winter, we will do some analysis and figure out, okay, where were we sold out? Where were we not sold out? Where do we need to raise rates? Where do we need to lower rates? In 2021, I fully expect that weekends will be more expensive than weekdays. And I fully expect that my personal goal will be to get us somewhere between 90 and 95% capacity, so that one or two who shows up at the end can get a spot. But sometimes you're going to be full, and that's the way it goes, and I'm sorry about that. But as a business, I'm planning on spending this winter analyzing data and figuring out what number should we be charging so that we can maximize profit, so we can get as much money put back into this course. I want to make this course as profitable as possible, and I want to do some ridiculous infrastructure things in the future.
That's awesome. Honestly, I mean, Maple Hill is already probably the best place in the world to be if you're a disc golfer, from the amenities to the course, just everything. So I can't wait to see what you have in store for the future.
I'm excited.
Water slide.
I was thinking waterfalls, water slides,
zip line. Zip line you have to let go of at the end and just drop right in the pond.
I mean,
that's hole one. Just right down as we're going.
And 14.
What?
14.
What? You were speaking of Jeff Spring a moment ago. Of course, consistency at the courses, trying to eliminate any kind of issues or discrepancies or trouble spots, whether they be flow of play or rules or whatever. Did you and Jeff have a walkthrough? Was there anything that where you guys either agreed or disagreed that had to be addressed or buttoned up or looked at, or everything was perfect?
Are you talking about at the Pro Tour level or
at the Pro Tour
Open level?
Yeah, for this weekend. Obviously, this has been a staple and a cornerstone of the Pro Tour, but Jeff and the crew have showed up at all these events, and even in his home course last weekend, there was a slight discrepancy on a Mando placement, and so that's what just leads me to think: was there anything that you guys had to button up or address that came to mind?
So I will say we did course setup today, and Sam and Evan and we had 4 or 5 people show up. Yeah, in addition to that, to do from the MVP Open side as volunteers to help set up the course. Huge shout out to Michael and Ken and Jake and Todd and Steve and me, and then obviously Sam and Evan. And we banged out the course and did a great job. And I commented to my brother at one point how impressed I was with Sam and Evan of the Pro Tour. And said, these guys are so detail-oriented. It amazes me. And I think Todd pointed out, maybe I did, that anybody who does any detail would probably amaze me, because I'm not necessarily a detail guy. But these guys were on top of things, and they were meticulous with getting things prepared. What's up? Oh, so anyway, I've been nothing but impressed with how well the live broadcasts have gone off all season. The fact that the Pro Tour was able to salvage this season. They literally dropped San Francisco and Portland due to COVID, and they were able to fill it in not only with 2 events, but with 2 events that from the outside went off flawlessly. Not only that, but DDO got on network television. And I'm blown away and can't be more than tickled by how great they are doing. And I'm really, really excited that Maple Hill and the MVP Open are on the Pro Tour. It's really fun.
Is there?
And I would just want to say my brother said that they are actually out there playing birdie right now in the dining room. So at some point I want to run out there and we'll show you guys what birdie looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Feel free to get up and get prepped for that. I was just going to ask if there was anything else that obviously some big strides this year, but is there anything that jumps out at you that just is on the wish list of things you'd love to see yet from either the Pro Tour or the media side of things, where you're like, yep, the next obvious thing to tackle is X or Y or whatever. Is there anything for you that just jumps off the page for you?
So I'll just rattle off a couple of things that pop in my head. I haven't given this any thought. I appreciate the prep that you gave me for this question.
It feels like 4 years ago then, the last 4 years. Steve comes to us and just like, hey guys, what about this, and this? And it was fantastic. And some of them we were like, that's great. And some of them were like, are you nuts?
Yeah, you're crazy.
Oh,
So it's good.
Well, some of them were like, well, it's Wednesday and the tournament starts tomorrow. So, but again, Johnny, a little too close to the bone.
That one wasn't meant.
I would love, as someone who is really enjoying watching Disc Golf Network, I would love to see some more Disc Golf Network only content. I would love to see the SmashBox game show that you guys developed. Put that on Disc Golf Network. I want to watch that weekly, and you guys just drop a new show every week. You can have over the winter. You guys could put 20 shows in a can and then just drop them every week during the season. I want to watch that. I want to see more Disc Golf Network exclusive content developed, because during the off season, I'll keep my subscription. I'm kind of vested, but I don't know why I would if there's no new content. So that's one thing I'd absolutely love to see. The live broadcast, you guys are going to continue to improve that. I'll just start in 2016 forward. Every 3 shows, there were significant improvements. And even at the beginning of the 2019 season, when the Memorial happened and then Waco happened, and it looked from the outside like we dropped the ball, because we did, there were still significant improvements being made. That Memorial show in 2019, from what I remember, was the first time we ever jumped to second card a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was compelling. And then Waco, Johnny was on vacation, so we had another person doing the switching, and he brought in a whole new artistic level that I think is actually still carrying through. We love seeing these little shots of the Green Mountains with the scorecards in front of them. We love the close-ups of the players during interviews. A lot of that stuff, while it was at the moment not necessarily universally appreciated, there were great things that came out of that. And I've loved watching the consistent progression and improvement of the live broadcast. I heard Brody mention, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that wouldn't it be great if there wasn't any post-produced stuff, so if people had to watch live? And we're getting really close to the point where that makes sense, because the live is starting to be amazing. And if we made 50% of the people that are watching post-produced jump to live, we could invest more in live. And Johnny, I don't know how big your basement is, but if we could get a couple more people in, there, I think we're really close to having a stellar live broadcast that would compete with most other sports.
I need 2 more people. That's what I've been thinking about. For the next big jump, I think I need 2 more people. I'd like someone just to run replays. Because right now, Mo and I do it, and it's a little haphazard. Usually something awesome happens. He turns to me, he's like, can you have that in 8 seconds? And I'm like, I'm already on it. Hold on. And we're like filling a little bit of time. And then I want someone to be able to queue up graphics and those beauty shots that you see. because we'll come up to a hole and Mo will be like, I need to see drone scene sub 03, and I'm like, okay, scroll, there it is. If we can have that all prepped ahead of time, I think that's great. We already have Geo here doing graphics, and there's we have plans. It's just a matter of making sure that all those happen, and I'm excited for the future. And I don't. If things go the way I hope, my basement doesn't need to get any bigger. We'll be able to distribute. So.
Oh, very nice.
We figure we'd just have you start pressing buttons.
Yeah, I'm training Steve.
Or commentary.
As I've demonstrated, I'm pretty good at pressing buttons.
Yeah.
All right, so give us a overview, or give us a quick look or insight into the actual live gameplay
of
I
Birdie.
mean, we're always streaming live disc golf here on SmashBoxxTV, and I feel like we're going to see some live disc golf getting played right now.
All right, is there a way for me to turn my camera?
There should be a little flip.
How do I do that?
There you go. You got it. Look at you.
I did?
Operating technology like the best of them.
Did we miss
All right.
it?
Looks like some gatekeeper crew up in there.
Oh, we got Derek and Chris.
Yep.
You should turn this off. There we go. They were watching, I don't know, Smashbox.
Oh.
Have you ever heard? Great show.
Wow.
Right. So
It's our favorite Dodge brother.
Paul Macbeth right now. I'm 2 over 3 6.
Chris is Paul Macbeth, and he's 2 over.
I'm still a ham, but I'm content.
Nice.
And Todd is Big D Dakota, and Dakota is actually named after Todd's dog.
3.
That's a neat little fun fact.
Oh, no, I only have 2, yeah.
All right, so they're doing all their karma cards here. Let's see what karma cards Chris has. Okay, Chris has got, looks like, I'm just going to say this out loud. He's got Little Breezy, so that's going to add some wind. So after Chris putts out on a hole, he's going to want to play that card and make it get all windy. If he has a bad drive, he can re-roll. Oh, he has to play before the roll, but re-roll the smallest die, disc golf pins. And then, that's a bad card for somebody else. If somebody hits chains, Chris can say, that fell out of the chain.
Oh.
That's good stuff.
As you can see, we have a lot of courtesy violations out here. This has been a very...
You guys have some courtesy violations going on.
I believe that.
Wow, he's got 3 of them.
I can't keep my language.
So, okay, so Todd is going to play hole 7. We all know this one. We could do a quick QR code to do something up, and he's looking to see, that's a really good card. Thought Space Athletics has the Focus, Elevate, Mind, and Body. It's going to use 5 6-sided dice. Obviously, Terry, as you know, you only use the top 3 dice. He's on the tee. Here's the roll chart. 15. He gets a 15. He's going to circle 2.
Dang. Nice drive,
Now
Todd.
Typical Todd.
Yep.
That's what he needs. He needs a 13 to get it in. 11 hits chains.
See if he can make the smack out.
He looks pretty nervous. Is this single camera coverage here? What kind of live broadcast is this? Oh, he's using a new disc from Discovering the World. Free advertising for dtworld.com.
No, we're sending them an
charge 'em.
invoice. Don't worry. Oh, Todd with
Well
a birdie.
done.
Oh, my gosh.
Nailed it.
Oh, my.
So, a question
that's
for
how to do
Steve.
it.
That's awesome. Have you looked into, or I'm sure you've thought about it, digitizing the game, finding a way to play? Because I know there's all sorts of different simulators out there, and what is that? I guess what's the process, and what is there a timeline in your ideal world for something like that?
So when you say digitize the game, there's 2 ways to do that. One is through something like tabletopia.com, where you just put all the parts on there and let people play remotely with other people. And the other way is to develop an app of the gameplay. We've looked into both of those. I've put all the pieces on Tabletopia, and if anybody knows do you know how to do that, Johnny?
I've looked at it. I've never done it. So
I've I've put all of the pieces on there. I got a subscription for a few months, and I could not figure out how to like distribute the cards or have people get started. I just maybe I don't understand Tabletopia. I've never actually played any game on there, but it didn't seem as intuitive. Well, it wasn't intuitive to me. I couldn't figure out how to get it started. So if anybody knows how to get the game started, I'm happy to put it on there and get people interested. And then I have talked with a friend of mine who develops apps for a high-end company, and he wants to do a sort of a pet project. So he's interested in this. I haven't seen any movement in the last 4 to 6 months, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening. I've just told him I'm not going to pester him. So when he's ready to show me something, he will. And then the last thing is if, for example, you have a home course that you play, we're developing a roll chart generator. So if you remember that little roll chart at the bottom of the drive, and it just said where you go, we are actually having something where you can plug in. We get this many birdies and this many bogeys and this many pars, and the hole is this long, and then it will tell you here's what the roll chart should be for the tee and for all of the different spaces up the hole. So you could actually plug those roll charts into your own favorite course and play any course you want.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I follow up that as you're talking about different courses and having obviously the Maple Hill course on there right now and the ones that are coming in the packs, have other course designers like Chuck Kennedy and have John Houck, have they reviewed the game or the course? Did they come out and give it any kind of stamp of approval?
I haven't heard from either of them about the game, or Steve West, or any of our other elite course designers.
Sure. Okay. Well, I don't know. I think Disc Golf Course Review needs to get a visit. Anything else you want to share with us, Steve, before we start to let you go here?
No, I want to say thank you guys for the continued great work that you two do. I know that we've gone through some wonderfully from the outside looked like wonderfully turbulent times. You guys have always been honest and open and respectful, no matter how crazy my ideas, no matter how hurtful some of the things I seem to have said are. You've accepted all of them because you know they're coming from a place of love, and I just want to say I love and appreciate both of you very much.
Well, the feeling is completely mutual.
Yeah, from Johnny.
Yeah, from me. I don't know about Terry.
In all seriousness,
you should hear what this guy says about you.
I am very saddened. This year in particular, I will not be coming on site. The very room you were just in, I will never forget when I came there for the first time ever. And I arrived very late coming in from the train and all this other stuff, and then walked in, and there was a whole bunch of the staff and the crew all huddled around that table, a lot of guys I didn't know or didn't know very well. And that was my first ever experience, a little chaotic, but yet so fun and festive yet as we were prepping for the Vibram or the MVP Open or whatever it was called that year. And this year, I'm very blessed that I'm going to be out in Bend, going out there tomorrow to share the experience with Nate and Val, but I will not be on site. And I'm going to miss it. The vibes and the feelings people get from being at Maple Hill, as you've alluded to so much tonight, are 100% real. So whether it's the tournament setting or it's a casual round now scheduled with a tee time, or it's visiting just the pro shop or whatever, Steve, you and your crew and your family have created this incredible destination and experience that I just can't say enough about. So I'm sorry I'm going to miss it. And I'm assuming with the cutbacks, any ice cream social that's not had this week will get doubled up during next year when I do come back.
Oh my God, 100%. We've got some ice cream cakes that are going to blow everybody's socks off next year. It's going to be so good. What? Wait a minute. Hold on one second. What just happened?
Do you have instant replay?
Wait, Todd. Share the fun. Todd just played this card. Oh, share the fun, where you take a picture of everybody. Take a selfie with everybody in it. And then he gets some free dice. And they're playing hole 8. You guys, you probably want to start cutting away because there's going to be some cursing going on.
I got some courtesy violations.
Oh, Chris twisted his ankle.
Ouch, and then fell in the pond.
Look at this. Todd's using a whale sack, which
Right.
I think everybody gets to use.
Yeah, there's some insider information here. He's using things I don't even know exist.
These are part of the expansion that only Todd gets to use.
Exactly.
No. I don't want anything from you.
So, thank you, Terry. We are going to miss you sincerely on site, and I look forward to seeing you here, there, or anywhere in between. And Johnny, I've never been in your basement, and I think that's an okay thing.
You know what? We spent the last time you and I got to see each other, we spent some really quality time in a Chicago park and ride. And that's how I'll leave it at.
We
guys,
did indeed.
I would not have told anyone about that night. All right, Steve, we love you. We wish you the best. We wish the event and all the excitement that we know is to come. We're super excited to again be featuring and playing and watching all of the action from the gold tees, from the diamond tees. And, I'll give a pre-thank you to all of your staff and the crew that you're going to have out there. We're looking forward to you guys putting on the best possible show, and we're hoping that we can do it justice by showing it to the rest of the world this weekend.
I'm excited to show off our staff and our course and to see who gets crowned champ of the MVP Open.
All right, Steve. Have a good night. Best of luck to you, and we'll talk soon.
Good night, all.
All right, Steve Dodge, excited to show off his staff. And a few years ago, I think I would have taken that differently, but we're glad he could join us here tonight and give us the update. So I appreciate. And again, file it in the back of your SmashBox TV trivia. Steve Dodge, yes, the first ever official guest on our SmashBox TV podcast, way back, podcast number 1.
Number 1. Couldn't be a better guy.
Yes, so awesome to hear from him, and again, super excited to see the action unfold this weekend out there at Maple Hill. All right, I think we're going to close up the regular show. No surprise, 2 great conversations here tonight. We'll close up the regular show. We'll probably talk about definitely some disc golf stuff in the after show. We probably have some things that are unrelated to the disc golf world as well. We've got a huge crew of people out there watching. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We stand down for just a few moments to close out the show. Then we bring back the after show. You don't have to click anywhere. You don't have to do anything. Maybe get up and use the restroom if you need to. Grab yourself another beverage, whatever it is that you need to do. And we'll see you back here in a few minutes. So, for Kevin Jones, our champion over at GMC, congratulations. Thanks for joining us. For Steve Dodge, MVP extraordinaire and then some, Johnny V, and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast number 314. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Being listed as a producer in the SmashBox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 314th
After show.
After show action coming to you
Every
from-
Tuesday night.
Yeah, and from Milwaukee. Real quick, I know we didn't talk about it in the regular show, and it's a pretty funny random subject to bring up at any point in our shows. But it's fall here in Milwaukee this week, right now, and I'm just going to go on record and say I love it.
I'm here for it. If it were to
love
stay like this for the next 2 months, I'd be happy.
Yeah,
But it's not. It's going to get warmer and it's going to get colder. It's gonna get warmer. I'm okay.
I don't know. Let us know in the chat what your favorite season is, but anything but fall would be incorrect. So at least here in Wisconsin, where I love any time, and maybe that's just because I'm not at my ideal weight yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love when it's comfortable enough to wear pants and comfortable enough to wear shorts, depending on the activities that you're doing, or at night, maybe a long sleeve shirt or a sweatshirt might be
hoodie.
applicable.
A hoodie is perfect.
Some kind
a
of-
t-shirt
yeah,
with just a zip-up hoodie. Maybe if you were a Patreon supporter a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, a Smashbox hoodie, that would be perfect probably if you had that.
Yeah, well, we're here in Wisconsin, and I do appreciate it, and this does tie to the weather. Of course, hearts and thoughts and everything else go out to anyone experiencing some of the madness over there in California, the fires, and I can't say I
heat.
know everything that's going on about it, but I have seen a few of those headlines, and so devastating and terrible to see and hear and read about. Disc Golf Nerd had just asked if anything will affect some of my travel to Oregon tomorrow, and I have not heard of anything yet. I am scheduled to fly out on Wednesday afternoon at some point from here in Milwaukee. I think I have a layover briefly in Denver, and I'm not sure if any of my
Which is funny because Denver was 95 degrees like 2 days ago, and then
snowing today.
Then snowing today.
Well, I looked at speaking of fall weather, I haven't been to Bend in, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years, or whenever Nate and Val got married, which was, I think, in September as well. And I looked at the weather for the next few days, high of 93. Then I was like trying to look at it compared to where it is versus Wisconsin, or where it is versus Milwaukee. I'm like, it's a tad more north than we see Milwaukee. And of course, I don't know too much about Bend's typical climates, but 93 for a high and then a low of 56 at night. So
it's a good spread.
A little bit toasty out there. So that's what we're going to see over the next few days. I am super excited. I will be joining Nate and Val in the booth this weekend, and
finally we get rid of that Jamie Thomas guy.
No, not at all.
Finally we get rid of that Nate Doss guy. That'd be awesome if you flew out there and got rid of Nate. Finally we get rid of Val Jenkins.
No, I'm just super excited to have that role, and it's only because, just to make sure it's very clear, Jamie and his wife are expecting their first child. I have not heard of that happening yet, but I know they're expecting soon.
No, I believe they're expecting towards the end of this month. I believe somewhere around the 20th. But Jamie felt that this was just cutting it a little too close for his taste. So he just thought he would step off and, stay at home and watch the broadcast. There's actually talks about him maybe jumping in at one point
sure. Maybe some kind of remote
for the Bevel
insight.
The Bevel breakdown. Not during,
because I'm going to be hammered.
I know. We all know. We all know.
I'm going to find a way to get hammered. I may not be the biggest IPA fan, which is I believe what Nate and Val typically specialize in, although they have other beers. That doesn't stop me. That won't stop me. All right? I am fully dedicated to the effort of the Bevel breakdown.
There's not a lot that stops you.
That's true. Can't stop the feeling. All right. So just super excited. Again, this is all due to the fact of Jamie and his wife's expected family addition. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't think I've shared this publicly. Early in the season, Jamie and I had a quick conversation about how everything was playing out. The role I was doing on the sideline, what they were doing in the booth and so on and so forth. And I said, I've got to admit, Jamie, I'm a little bit jealous of the setup that you now have, that you guys have. And I think about the booth time that I've shared with a number of people, Dixon Jowers, Robert McCall, Hannah Macbeth, everyone that I've shared the booth with in any way. I have absolutely enjoyed all of it. Every single person. Nate and Val last year from Portland, when we were in Portland. I've enjoyed all of those things. However, it wasn't until this year that we have so many additional assets and resources that are now part of the broadcast. So much of our broadcasts throughout the previous few years have been a couple cameras of play at most, with probably a lot of commercial opportunities to go to commercial, and then coming to the booth. Those were pretty much our main options.
The funny part is, we're not showing a lot less. We're not showing really less commercials than we have had in the past. We're just bunching them. So I still basically bundle two 30-second commercials, or maybe a 30 and two 15s, and do that. And then when we have time, we will play 3 to 4 commercials in a row. So you're going to get a 3 to 4 minute commercial break, and then you'll go through 25 minutes of disc golf without a commercial. You might get scoreboard, you might get graphics, you might get we call them SOTs, because it stands for sound on tape, which means that the announcers don't talk. You can't hear them because we take their voice away. Or VOs, which stand for voiceovers, which means that's when the commentators do talk over the video. So you'll see a bunch of those, but then we'll have another break and we'll burn through 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 more sets of commercials, which, again, if I say 3 to 4 commercials, that's really double that, because I'm bundled them as a 1-minute piece. So we're not showing less, we're just showing them at different times, and we're able to pull in those other cards to fill some of that extra time and some of the other resources we have.
Yeah, and I very specifically think to, I know we talked in the regular show with Kevin Jones about a montage or a little piece that was put together, just all of those pieces that we've really never had the chance to either acquire, or we didn't think to acquire and cut up the way that we have them now. They're from out in the sideline reporting, when I'm listening in on some of the call or some of the information being shared that's happening for the broadcast, I'll hear, there may be a missed putt. And then I'll hear Mo here in the booth in Milwaukee say something like, "Oh, we have something where Paige is talking about, missing her putts low," because we asked her in an interview about that yesterday. So Mo had cut that up, or Johnny had put that together so that it could be then used in the next day's broadcast. Those were all things we've not had before this year, and all the credit goes to Mo, the Pro Tour, Sam and Evan, and just piecing the show together in so much more of a insightful and thorough way than we've had in the past. So again, my jealousy had come from the fact that we now have a more well-rounded show as Jamie kind of steers that ship and works.
And your job is different. Your job isn't, you don't get to take advantage of those particular bonuses, but you do get to be on the course, and you get the inside scoop on the players, and you get to travel to all these places, as opposed to being in the booth and feeding all this information. So it's definitely different.
And the fact now this weekend, again, we'll have Hannah Macbeth, who's going to be doing what traditionally has been my role all the other prior events this year besides GMC and MVP. Hannah Macbeth will be giving us some sideline insights and reports. We'll be checking in with her. And it was great, because even as she was going into this weekend, she had some thoughts or questions. I kind of bounced a few things off of her, and then later in the opening day of the broadcast, I was not tuned in immediately when things had started out, so I didn't see everything. But I think woken up to a text or a few messages from her saying, "Oh my gosh, this is a little bit harder, or this is harder than I thought it was going to be," or something of that nature. And, again, I tried to help or assist in any way I could. And she's only going to continue to get better. She's talked about that. She knows that
she
was
a little bit awkward of nerves on that first day.
Oh, there's a little bit of nerves and just a little bit of uncertainty, because it's a really unique role and perspective to try and come in on the course, to not be disruptive to the play or to everything else that's going on, and then to give you the right amount of insight about the right things So
Yeah,
excited to hear from her again this year from the sidelines or this weekend.
This weekend's broadcast, actually, it got better each day, I feel. We were doing something new, as I think we talked about it last week. We pushed the stream from, which had been 1080p 30, which is 1080 is the resolution of the broadcast, 30 is 30 frames per second, to 1080p 60, which is a lot it looks a little more, I don't want to say realistic, because 24 frames per second is what you usually see most movies in. 30 is what kind of traditional television is in, and 60 now is what a lot of our disc golf broadcasts are in, or the post-production stuff. So it just has a slightly different look and feel. And that first day, we had some issues. We tested it all out, but even after testing, we were still kind of straining the computer. If you notice, the instant replays didn't look 100% great. They were a little pixelated. So we bumped up the resolution, and then on the second day, the resolution looked better, but the replays all were going at what I felt like was like 95% speed. So even when we cut to a second card and we want to kind of give the illusion that it's live, or like, oh, hey, a moment ago we watched these 4 players drive, it didn't quite feel right. It was just off. And then the third day, we kind of we took some resources and moved them around, and finally, I feel like we got. By the fourth day, I actually ended up putting a little bit more memory in my PC. I ran to Best Buy and took care of that, and dropped in like 32 gig more of memory. And I had pushed something else off, and we rebooted the system and cleared up a couple of things. And then I felt it was crystal clear, which is obviously the best day that we want to be perfect every day. But the Disc Golf Network subscribers pay us, and they're kind of they're our fan base, I feel like. And if you're going to mess up a little bit, you do it with your fan base, the people that support and trust you. When you mess up on that final day and the world is watching, you hear about it. Like, oh, I can't believe, you hear about it in all the social medias, this got messed up and this was bad. You have a little bit more leeway, I feel like, with the first 3 days. And not that we ever want to treat those people that are paying us, that trust us with their money, that we're putting those resources to good use. We don't ever want to shortchange them. But if you're going to have a problem or a mistake, you do it when there's only 3,500 people watching, and not when there's 12,500 people watching, a larger majority of the disc golf community. And so thankfully we're good to go now. Everything went really well on Sunday, and we're going to move on to Maple Hill and MVP, where I'm actually kind of excited because Maple Hill has always had a couple rough spots. And we're using some really nice equipment. But on top of that, no spectators means nobody else is hammering on those cell towers.
Yeah, so you find out every single volunteer out there, every single worker out there sitting there watching.
And that could be.
Just kidding.
And that could be. But shout out to Christian Carrion, $5 super chat, saying, would it be more cost effective for me to be a patron or keep super chats going? I'll answer that question first. I'm going to 100% say Patreon supporter for a couple reasons. One, cost effective for you, because I think YouTube still takes, a 30% chunk or something, or a super chat, 20%, something like that. But that goes into our pockets. You go to Patreon, they take a similar chunk, but you also get the perks with Patreon. And I love the Patreon model because I can keep track of everybody. You'll get entered into our weekly drawing. If you were to give $5 every week, that gets you a yearly collector disc. It gets you the mini on the wall. We'll send you, you can send us a picture. We'll get a mini printed up and get it up on our wall. I prefer the Patreon model because it's easy for us to keep track of. But if you prefer to hear your name shouted out every week on here, keep donating $5 to the super chat. Yeah,
either way is certainly appreciated. But like Johnny said, I think when you become a Patreon member, it's going to inherently come with some perks, and then and you could win free stuff.
Yeah. And then his question, Terry, would you rather wear wet socks or wet underwear forever?
I know this sounds funny, but I need a qualifier in terms of how wet.
We're talking.
Are we talking wringing wet,
soaking
or are we
wet?
talking damp?
We're talking soaking wet. Like you just pulled them out of the lake,
Now,
which makes
is
your
the
pants
wet
feel
cold?
awkward.
Yeah, is the wet cold or is it just wet?
Just wet. We're gonna go just wet.
Like you just got out of a pool,
Yeah.
and on a hot summer day, or you just got out of a hot tub and they're wet. I mean, if we're talking damp, the answer is definitely the boxers that I would rather have the rest of my life be wet. If damp, if we're talking wet,
If we're talking soaking wet, I'm going socks.
no, I think I might still go with the boxers.
Now,
Even though that, yeah, as you said, that would make challenge A on the shoes or B on
your
the
pants. I mean, like, I guess, does that soak through on your pants? So, like, then your pants look wet and damp? That's a tough question. I'm just for comfortability. Thank you. I'm going to go with socks. I'll get used to the wet socks and slosh
It's so
it.
miserable, though.
I can't.
Wet socks are
I can't
miserable.
imagine wet underwear is any better. Like it just bunching up and
Let's find
sticking.
out. I'll go underwear tonight. You go socks.
Weird. Just in general, I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, he's saying it's soaking wet. So, Ray asks a question about the DGN live broadcast, about splitting it into two parts so that it uploads faster. And upload is not the correct term, I'll say, Ray. It is transcoding.
Mm-hmm.
So what it's doing is, just like this broadcast, if we go past like the 3 or 4 hour mark, you can only go back so far.
While it's live.
It's all buffering. And the difference between YouTube and Vimeo, which is our back end, is that
For DGPT, anyway.
correct, for DGPT, thank you. YouTube, while it's transcoding, you can still kind of go back and watch the last few hours. Vimeo for the DGN doesn't allow that. So, like, you're right. Once we cut the broadcast, like, oh, cool, we're done. Click, it shuts you out, and then it starts transcoding so it can basically process this whole thing. Yes, if we broke it up, that would clearly make the first chunk of the broadcast go smoother. Like, that would probably be up by, we'll say 8 o'clock. I can't say that for sure, but we'll just make a rough guess. 8 to 9 o'clock, as opposed to, 11 or midnight of what we're getting now. And then the second half would probably do it later. The downside of that is you're taking all these people that are watching live and you're suddenly cutting their stream. Like, you're suddenly saying, cool, click. Oh yeah, now you need to go to a different link to find it. Because it's not like YouTube where it just shuts down and comes back on and you're at SmashBoxxTV /live. With Vimeo, you're creating a whole event and they have to go to a different address, or they have to go back to the menu and find it again. It's that extra little hurdle, and none of us love it. It is ultimately it's the worst thing about the entire I feel the entire Vimeo backend. And we've talked to them and they have said, hey, it's on our roadmap to work on. We don't know when that is, though. Like, that could be way further down the line. Now, remember, we're probably one of the few people that are putting out 6-hour streams. Most of their streams are probably, half hour, maybe 2. And so those don't have the same urgency that we do, because we are kind of fighting the clock with post-production, because Jomez is putting it out at 7 or 8 a.m. the next morning. So there is that battle. And right now, unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it. We'll just continue to wait, continue to work with Vimeo. I don't foresee us changing platforms. We've got a lot of subscribers, and I don't think a smart move is to tell everybody who just signed up for a year and said, oh yeah, hey, we're going to go to a different place, because I've looked and there aren't a lot of other places. Vimeo's like the single largest, maybe the second largest user portal that you can do. So we all feel your pain. Everybody here behind the scenes knows about it. Right after the broadcast, we're looking at it saying, okay, let's make sure it's transcoding, because there has been a few times where it hasn't kicked in right away for some reason, and we've had to call Vimeo and say, why isn't it working? That hasn't been the case for the last couple events, so I think whatever the glitch they had, they cleared up, thankfully. But we checked that a lot, and it will be nice when hopefully we can start getting around things like that. But until then, it's going to be the nature of the beast.
Yeah, and I guess it is too bad because we've become a little bit spoiled in the sense that some of this stuff is available on instant, or I'm sorry, not instant, but is available for just backing up a little bit when you do want to catch up to something.
That is the worst.
I absolutely do understand that, and I won't further talk about anything that you just said. We'll just see, because I think the technology will continue to, for lack of a better term, improve on both Vimeo and YouTube's ends, and so as those get better and time goes on, I think a lot of that stuff will just simply shorten.
Correct. The
so
code,
like you're saying, we just got to wait on it.
Processors will get better. Video cards will be able to transcode faster. File, codecs will get better, so it'll shrink the size of the overall broadcast and what we're pushing out at. And I'm sure, honestly, pushing it out at 1080p 60 probably lengthened it. Now, we were fortunate this weekend that those two courses run pretty fast and smooth, but you get to like a Ledgestone where some of those Eureka rounds can go 4.5 hours, 5 hours. We're pushing more data, and and it's in higher resolution, and it's going to take even longer. Which, like I said, we all know it sucks, and we're working and we're looking, and we'll always be abreast of the situation. So trust me when I say that the minute there's a solution, a better solution, we will be here for it.
Another conversation that continues to come up with regards to times and availability, and then the replay, for lack of a better term, replayability or access to it, that I continue to hear online are the people from somewhere in Europe or other parts of the world that are saying that it may not be conducive for them to watch the broadcast live because of whatever time it is there. And so they want that access to it for when they do wake up or when it is better for them to view. And literally someone wrote, and it might have been on one of our pages, I think, maybe from our even broadcast last week, someone had said, don't forget about all of us in Europe, or it's not good for us there. And as politely as possible, I don't want to say, yeah, we're not worried about you, because clearly we are. Right now, it's just simply a numbers game that everything that's happening is structured and geared toward the largest demographic, being the United States. And that's never to say we don't care. And I'll go a step further and say this could be said of anyone in our deaf disc golf community. It's not that we don't care about closed captioning. It's just a matter of technology and resources to be able to get us there. And maybe it comes from a place of ignorance or privilege or something when someone says, well, you don't care about us in the deaf disc golf community because you're not doing these things to address that. And again, I can't say it enough. It's not that we don't care, and it's not that we're not hearing you. It's just a matter of technology, resources, manpower. There's a lot of things that factor into it for a very, very, very small demographic that we're just not able to completely zone in on
and accommodate.
Or hone in on or accommodate just yet. That's not to say we're not going to get there. And I'm sorry it's not as fast as you want.
One of our so the way the system works is I have this vMix program, which then streams it out to a service provider that then splits up the signal. So it can go, so I can send it to the Disc Golf Network, and I can send it to YouTube at the same time, and I could send it to Facebook if we wanted to. I could push it to all these places. One of the features that they just integrated was it's an RTMP stream. So it's basically a copy of the broadcast. So I could give you an address, and you would get it right from the restreaming company. And I turned to Mo and I was like, hey, you know what we could do with this? You could literally give that address to someone overseas. They could pull it into a vMix with their commentators and commentate over it. And it would be, you could do that. Now, the tough part is it would have to be a silent broadcast, because you'd have to mute the commentators and the audio. You have to mute the audio, otherwise they're talking over Jamie and Val and Nate. But would that be better or worse? Like, if you could imagine the Finnish contingent or the Swedes or something like that saying, oh, cool, no, we're going to have a crew, a simple 3-man crew, and they're going to kind of follow the broadcast and do their own commentary. And then when we do happen to go to like a commercial, they just maybe stand down or they go to, it's going to be a lot tougher for them because we're in communication with our booth and they kind of know everything that's coming up. They'd be playing a little blind. But is it worth it? I don't know. That's something that we're, Mo and I talked about, and might be something we look at in the future. So for people overseas that will be doing something like that, I think that could be kind of a cool feature. And we've seen it before in post-production where we see 2 different copies. We see an English version and we see a version with another language. There's opportunities to be had, most certainly.
Well, as we continue to grow and develop, we certainly look forward to doing all of those things. And Clay, we appreciate it. At some point, maybe reach out to us or reach out directly to the Disc Golf Pro Tour so that someone like Mo would get the message that you might be available to help in some capacity. And you're asking what are the numbers, though? Is it 100 people or 1,000? That's a great question. I'm guessing it's closer to 100 than it is to 1,000.
Are you talking
as
the
of
deaf,
right now in terms of our deaf
community, not the European community.
disc golf viewing community? And again, I can't say it enough. And I have a little affiliation as I've befriended a number of deaf disc golfers here in Wisconsin. I've become very good friends with them years ago. They were the ones that in fact encouraged and paid for me to take my first and second ASL classes. So I'm partially deaf myself. So I get all of that, and I never want to sound dismissive, and I can understand their frustration. And at the same time, it always comes down to us being able to get to that point. So hopefully we'll keep pushing forward on that. Real quick, I want to, speaking of contributors and amazing people, I did notice in my Facebooks, none other than Seth Muncie, Mr. Disc Golf Strong, celebrating his birthday today. So I wanted to give a specific shout out. Seth's obviously been with us a number of times on the show and is just an incredible resource that the Disc Golf Pro Tour had acquired for the year, and Seth in all of his own endeavors, of course. Just such an asset to the world of disc golf and everything that he's been working on and doing. So I'm sure you can go out and still find him, discgolfstrong.com, and I want to give him a quick shout out for his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. All right.
Let's give something away.
Okay, let's give something away before I move on to the next one. This will go to our Patreon. As we referenced here earlier, if you want to be eligible, all you have to do is simply support us at any level. That's Patreon, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. And if you support us, like I said, at any level, there are varying levels that will garner certain kickbacks or rewards of sorts. But if you even give us the minimum amount, that makes you eligible for our weekly giveaways. And every single week, the bare minimum I think we've ever given away is something at the $15 or $20 level when it's all said and done, and it goes up from there. So
somebody even got some invaluable sunglasses.
Yes,
one time.
Straight out of 1996 or 1998. Some Nike knockoff sunglasses, along with additional prizes and the sunglasses. They weren't as stylish as Kelvin's this weekend.
Nope. Kelvin
but for
had
their
a unique
day,
look.
they may have rivaled those. So we appreciate all of our Patreon supporters out there. So we'll have something to give away. I'm going to get. I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I need to get a little bit caught up. I think I have 2 or 3 weeks worth of stuff to give away. So if you are expecting something, we've called your name out, do not hesitate to send me a message on Facebook and just make sure that I have your information. For a lot of our Patreon subscribers, even if you don't mind sharing it, it's always great for you to put in your address for this exact reason. Maybe you do support us at the minimum level and you're otherwise not getting anything else. Or expecting anything else, but then all of a sudden we pull your name. Sometimes it takes a week or two of playing email tag with trying to hunt down people just to make sure that we have your right mailing address. So if you want to put it in Patreon, that's always greatly appreciated. So that we can get you some stuff.
Yeah. Today, Terry, I sorted it by email address. I went with the email address.
Did that put the numbers first?
It did, yeah. Yeah, it did. So here you can see our number one is David Smith because his email starts with a number.
Okay.
But he's the only one that has
a number that starts. Wow,
starts with a number.
That's somewhat surprising. Okay.
And I do want to give let everyone know that you can be a Patreon supporter, and obviously we love you the most. But if you do want to get in on the weekly giveaway, you can go out to an unlisted Smashbox page. So you have to listen to know what the page is. It's smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways. Weekly giveaways, and you will you can basically, I believe, go in there and submit the form, and you get entered into this as well.
So no purchase necessary.
No purchase necessary,
as they say.
But you have to do it every week because I delete them week after week. Yep. So like this week, Patrick Rice was the only one.
That a boy,
so,
Patrick.
Way to go, Patrick.
Now eligible. Also could win this weekend. Or send a self-addressed stamped envelope.
SASE.
Yep, don't do that.
All right, so Terry, 195, did I say? 100, let me look. 196, I'm sorry. 196 people that are eligible because I forgot about adding Patrick in there.
All right.
196 people are eligible. What number do we want to draw?
I like the fourth number. I was thinking 314th episode. So the fourth number that Johnny V generates here on random.org will be our winner. 140, 19,
our
2,
next number.
And 18.
Number
Wow.
18.
2,
So
18, and 19 all pulled
rolling
from.
up to
so
the
if you have an early.
It's a B.
Yeah.
It's Ben Jackson. Congratulations, Ben Jackson.
Wow, and I see Ben's address in there.
Yeah, which means
is even better
because he's a $3 supporter. He's going to get the yearly disc that we give away. Congratulations, Ben. That's a disc that September we should probably start thinking about and working on that pretty quick. We're going to get some artwork for that and start getting those ordered.
Awesome.
But
so
congratulations, Ben.
Thank you.
That is the disc member box. So you're getting one of the good ones.
They're all good.
Like one of the best ones. I don't even know what's in there. I see it. It's a white package over there. I don't crack them open. I'm sure you can if you want to spoil the surprise. If you want to play spoilers here, you can go out to the disc member site and they list what every month's is. So you can go ahead and do that and know what you're going to probably get in the mail because it came like just 2 or 3 days ago, I believe, is what it was.
Hot off the presses of disc member.
Hand it to Terry, and Terry's gonna. I assume Terry sends them out to you guys. I've never gotten any confirmation.
I just open them.
Keeps them, and
if you guys ever want to see what you would have won, just come over to my house. I've got it all on display because that's exactly what I need. Are more discs. And earlier, actually, just a little while ago, someone had mentioned that they had bought a disc, or their daughter bought a disc earlier in the year when I was in Arizona, right before I went off to Thailand and Taiwan. They had bought a supporter disc of mine with my logo on it. I appreciate it. Said that they had added 40 feet to their drive. And I guarantee that anytime you buy a disc from me, including putters, it's going to add 40 feet to your drive. So
I should start buying my discs from you.
Yeah, you should definitely. So if anyone... that was Clay who had said that his daughter had bought a destroyer from me in Maricopa earlier this year, and she loves it. Changed her game, giving her 40 additional feet. So, Clay, glad to do so. I've got more of those in stock, Blizzard destroyers.
Did you see you were in a unique position this week where you actually got to watch some of the broadcast? Did you see the Tyler Brickley commercial with the hurricane?
I did, which is where he compares it to other I think he deems inferior products.
Another manufacturer's disc.
Without naming names.
Without naming names. It was blurred out for a couple seconds and then not, and then a couple seconds. Very good. Someone had mentioned on the board about the commercials, how the repetitive commercials we get. And I said, they didn't mean that they were, that they were bitching about it, but it's a valid complaint, and we're obviously beholden to what our sponsors give us. Like I have a total of 10 different Discraft commercials that are from this year in regular rotation. You probably recognize them. You see Paul Macbeth. You see Paige Pierce, Austin Hannum,
MJ,
MJ, and
Yuli?
I don't think we have a Yuli one this year. Yuli was last year. I don't think
Missy?
No, there's one with a bunch of women. That's a 15-second commercial, but it's Minocqua guy kid.
Adam Hammis.
Adam Hammis. Thank you. I kept thinking Hannum, and I couldn't get Hammis out. But anyway, so I've got a bunch of those. So you'll see a good variety of those. I love working with Tyler Brickley because he's always very eager to get something new and unique to us, because he feels that is a good selling point for DGA, just to be on the forefront. Some manufacturers and companies, they update them at the beginning of the year, and we roll with those commercials for the whole year. And we try to do that. There's other companies like Disc Golf Strong, and I'm not throwing him under the bus, but he has a commercial from last year that still plays, because he doesn't necessarily need to update it. I would love it if every one of our manufacturers had a different commercial for me every month. Like, oh, awesome. Like, here's all the new NAD GT commercials. Here's all the new Innova commercials. Here's all the new Discraft commercials. LAT, DD. DD has a bunch as well, but we still kind of tend to see the same ones over and over. So I feel you out there that talk about the commercials and them being repetitive. I truly do. And I wish we had more variety, but we're doing what we can.
Yeah, my only request would be that if you are beholden or obligated or scheduled to play 2 Discraft commercials, for instance, or to play a certain amount of Discraft commercials, whenever we are on a little bit of a break, and we're cutting to a commercial segment, we'll call it, or a commercial break, definitely just make sure you vary up the manufacturers. Or, I'm sorry. Even if they're the same manufacturer, if they have multiple commercials, give us 2 different ones of theirs.
Yeah, almost always do.
Or the bunch of times you didn't this weekend on the final round. There was definitely one, and I can pick on this one segment because I know it happened.
All right, let me hear it. Bring it.
There was definitely one time, and maybe it was only once, I don't know, where I watched a Paige Pierce Discraft Buzz commercial. There was like 2 other commercials by 2 other manufacturers or sponsors. And then there was a Paige Pierce Buzz commercial. It was the same one. And I'm good with seeing like Discraft because they're a presenting sponsor, so they get more and everything you just said. I totally agree with all that. Just if we're going to get really picky, I would say just as best as you can. And I know things get hectic.
I do.
But try to make sure.
And if you did see that, it's clearly a mistake.
Damn it.
Because what I tend to do, and what I did this week, actually, I did something a little different. I burned together. I have a Adobe Premiere thing with all the commercials that need to be in there, and I have a list of commercials that are required from the sponsors. The number of commercials, not necessarily what they want to play. Some sponsors will send us specific commercials for specific weeks. Mm-hmm. DD likes to do that. They'll say, "Hey, this is the group we want to show this week," so I'll focus on that. With Discraft, for the GMC, I think that was a Discraft sponsored event. And I think we were obligated to play 8 commercials during the day, 8 Discraft commercials during a 6-hour broadcast. So I usually kind of map them out and I say this one here, this one there, this one there. But this time I did it a little bit different. And with having 8 Discraft commercials, I think I only have 6 of their current style. They don't mind if we play some of the older ones, but we tend to stick with the newer ones. I loaded them into vMix. And then what I did is I started randomizing them. I mixed them up. So there is a chance you saw the same Discraft commercial within, I would say, probably three commercials. I try to label them differently. Like, this is Discraft 1, this is Discraft 2. There is a chance that you maybe did see that one time. So I
at least once.
I'm going to go with 1. But I'll say this: if you saw it it was that same way every day then. Because I played it the exact same order of commercials every single day.
So when you screw up, you do it universally.
Once this show is set, that portion of it, I lock it down and I don't. The only thing I changed in commercials was that I do have a set of, when we're on DGN, I play the DGPT commercial, the Disc Golf Pro Tour Shop commercial. When we're on YouTube, I play the DGN commercial that promotes the Disc Golf Network. So it's just a slightly different commercial and that's the only thing that changes between those commercial sets.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a.
I mean, I'm not too worked up. I was just I know I was
sounds
sitting
like
there
you are,
Sunday
like you
night.
couldn't-
I returned to my friend's house after the tournament this weekend, and we turned on the broadcast so that I could consume it. And I just remember sitting there watching it, and I saw, oh, Paige Pierce Buzz commercial, no big deal. And then like 2 or 3 commercials later was the Paige Pierce Buzz commercial, and I was like, really driving that one home.
I'm gonna have to. I'll go back and look at that.
I'll show you. I will show you real good. All right, Tyler Brickley and friends are on the board. Tyler, as someone said, your ears were ringing. We were nothing but kudos.
Talking about how
I'm sure
great your commercial was.
Yeah.
The other thing that Tyler created this week that we haven't done in a while was during the picture-in-picture. You saw the DGA baskets come up from the bottom and spin and talk about go to discgolf.com. That was all Tyler. I kind of gave him the framework, and he and I talked about it, and he created that. And I had said that I want to do more stuff like that. I want to put, I want to push more advertisers. No, I want the same amount of advertisers. Well, I lie. I want 1 million advertisers. I want to do them in unique ways, whether it's lower thirds during the broadcast, whether it's, call to actions and things like that. That's what I want to see more of. More unique stuff, more ways that we can not interrupt the disc golf. And we're pretty good about not interrupting it anymore. We usually go to commercials if we know that there's a backup or we have stuff that we can bank and show you later.
Giving it a little love. We love it.
Yeah. But I hope you got some good reaction from that commercial, because I think it was well liked by a lot of people.
Clay is asking, ever think of selling spots at different costs? Charge premiums for last day, hole 17. Clay, those are no longer, those specific decisions and situations are not in our purview. When SmashBoxx was exclusively working on advertising and we worked directly with advertisers at some point, those were all different kinds of conversations. I know in some of our early offerings many years ago, we used to have kind of a daily rate that you could purchase advertising on our broadcast, and then the final day was usually at a little bit more of a premium, or we were trying to entice somebody to just purchase throughout the entire weekend, a package for the entire weekend. However, so as great as that point or conversation is, that's something that's specifically and directly administered and taken care of by a few other people on the Disc Golf Pro Tour and advertising, marketing, and that arm, we'll say, of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Sean Jack and some of the other guys that are working on that. So that's not something that would be for us in our decision or purview. I'm
going to say that like that would have been easier back when we did just group set of commercials after every drive, set of commercials after every drive. The way we bunch them now, we might not go to a commercial from hole 15 through hole 18 of the MPO. So we cannot easily sell location ads like that. It would have to be like final day versus what day's coverage we do it in. It's just that's if we could get more granular, that'd be great. But trust me when I say that I don't think anyone wants us to cut to commercial during like the last 3 holes of a broadcast, and we try not to, unless there is a backup or we know that hey, from 16 to 17 there's like a 4-minute walk. Like this is a great time to push, get through those ads. So in general, though, we try not to go to commercial around those times if we can avoid it, because we like to we build up the drama and we want that payoff. So, but it's a great idea, and it's something we can maybe look at in the future. And then we have to have someone keep track of all that, which is what Gary's actually going to start doing more of. He's got all these. This weekend he had Post-it notes like, don't forget hole 7, which is the Bushnell thing. Don't forget this, and that's kind of Gary now, because Mo and I get into this rhythm, and hole 7 can go by and we don't even realize it, and then suddenly we're like, oh crap, we never called out Bushnell. Thankfully that didn't happen.
Or Savage on 7.
Exactly, or Savage on 7. Like I said, thankfully that didn't happen this weekend, because we had Gary, because we almost missed it once or maybe twice. Because the way it worked was the players threw, Jeff Spring took the distances, texted him to Mo and said, here's the longest throw, put it up in our graphic. We did the graphic real quick, and then we wanted to show it when the player got up to their lie. at one point we're sitting there working, and Gary's like, "Are you going to show that graphic?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Just as I think Eagle had walked up to his lie, and I think he maybe reminded us twice, and that's why it's good to have another set of eyes like Gary, who really pays attention to the details like that. So.
I'm sorry, as I'm also scrolling through. Well, not really trying to scroll through Facebook, but looking at Facebook, this ties in perfectly. One of the superstars and one of my favorite part about seeing a couple of the events in the Northeast is that we also usually get an additional supplementary, complimentary camera angle and or photos that come from the events. And Dan Nye is a gentleman that you've seen his photos. You see quite a few of them, especially from this last weekend. He is local route photography. He's celebrating a birthday today.
Oh,
and
shout out.
So happy birthday for that. But then also just in general, a shout out to him, because a lot of and we love all the photographers that we obviously have seen, and we've gotten very accustomed to seeing the amazing work from someone like Alyssa Van Lannen, Lauren Lakeberg, and a few of the other photographers that we frequently see out there. But when we get to the Northeast, Dan is someone that we've seen now for the last couple of years. So I know a few of the shots from Kevin Jones this weekend, quite a few of them, in fact, and a lot of our players that you saw were probably Dan's work. You might see his little watermark on them, local route photography. So I just happened to notice also he's celebrating a birthday today. So perfectly timed, Dan, for all the great work that you're doing. We love to see it. And again, we've been spoiled with how good Alyssa and other photographers are, but it's always great to see even additional people out there, especially when I know Dan is, kind of northeastern, East Coast person. So I think he's got even more of a, not affinity. He's just a little more honed in. All right.
What else you got? You got anything else?
I real quickly, I think we could talk about just a little bit of the discrepancy that we saw on the Mando hole, and I don't want to necessarily beat that topic to death, but as a side topic to that, I want to reiterate, and I don't have, as I'm bringing it up, I should have thought about it.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, benefit of the doubt, it should be used in a tiebreaker scenario when people within the group cannot come to a consensus or an agreement in terms of how a rule is to be applied. That I cannot say that enough. Benefit of the doubt is not this overscoping, overarching, just blanket statement that should just get thrown out anytime something may or may not have happened. And I'm not even really playing that to the Mando situation from this weekend. It is something that I can say generically, and I illustrated one of these points on Dixon Jower's page earlier today, and I'll try to paraphrase it, which is you're playing a 400-foot shot downhill. There's a river at the bottom or a creek that's out of bounds. You throw it downhill. You don't see where it goes, and all of a sudden all of the players get down there, and you see the disc. Let's say it's in the middle of the creek, wherever it is. It's in the creek. It's definitely out of bounds. All too often, you will hear someone, whether it's the thrower or someone in the group, say something like, oh, well, your OB, you probably hit the other side of the creek and then rolled back into the water. And everybody will usually ponder for a moment, depending on how well the person's liked, depending on who threw it, depending on the situation. There's a lot of factors that come into it. And then someone will say, well, we can't say that it didn't hit the other side of the creek and roll back. And then someone say, well, benefit of the doubt goes to the player. And they say it in that dopey... No, okay, they don't say it that way. That's not how benefit of the doubt should be applied in that given situation. And there's just hundreds of situations throughout the years where I've seen and heard things of that nature happen. You can't just blanket throw out, well, benefit of the doubt, we don't, the phrase usually that is accompanied is, well, we don't know that didn't happen. And it's like you're just making up scenarios. Well, I don't know that a bird didn't pick it up and move it 600 feet. I don't know. I think I should be up there. Benefit of the doubt. Like, please, people, apply it correctly. This is a general statement. I'm not projecting it on anything this weekend, as I didn't really even see or hear of things this weekend in that nature, except for maybe the Mando call was kind of talked about.
It was
that
just
way.
the Mando call basically was a little bit discussed. Sarah Hokum had a good, because she was on the card, and if you look under Dixon's social media, you can kind of see how Sarah Hokum came to the conclusion based on the wording of the Mando and why she agreed to that call from the group. But basically, it didn't. I don't think it said to the left of the tree. I think it says like to the left of the Mando, and the Mando was on the right hand of the tree, and it kind of went through the tree. But some of the disc probably did go to the left of the tree. So do you treat it like an OB line?
Yeah, well, the fact that the tree was like a 3-trunked tree, right?
Yeah, something.
And
like
so it basically, I don't know if anyone, it basically, if you're supposed to go to this this side of the 3-trunk tree, and instead your disc went right through this trunk, like I think that's where the problem came in from the weekend. And I can understand a little bit of discrepancy. I can understand a little bit of confusion. I'll be the first to admit, I still don't know every detail of how it unfolded. It sounded like, for the most part, it was handled it
was handled perfect.
In the best possible way. I was going to say, considering the oddness of the situation. Anytime you have, and this goes from as a tournament director, I'll say, and a competitor a little bit, but anytime you have something like a 3-trunked tree, you need to make it crystal clear where the Mando line starts, where it finishes, what it includes and what it doesn't. Normally, you don't have that kind of problem. Normally, it'll be a flagpole or it'll be some very specific obstacle or a tree that, for the most part, is just a single trunk, and then it makes it a lot easier. This was one of those weird situations where
they'll mark it better next year.
Exactly.
It'll say something like the disc must go, to the left of, completely to the left of the tree or something along those lines. So, or they'll put the Mando on the inside portion of the tree as opposed to the outside portion of the tree. And,
Yeah.
It's just silly things like that.
Okay. I do want to quickly, I think it's Galactic Conqueror is wondering if if Big Rangefinder found their way to infiltrate the PDGA, and we may have talked about this last week, and I'm just gonna, I think, I don't know, say if I can say I think I emphatically shoot that down. No, rangefinders, I feel like are a byproduct of the ever evolving and increasing technology. The fact that disc golf now has them and can use them has nothing to do with Bushnell or any other rangefinder company of any kind trying to infiltrate our sport, because the rule was changed. Now, I wish somebody'd look it up. The rule was changed 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe more.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. This was not anything recent.
Been a while.
It has something that was, I think we just talked about all of this last week, so I'm not going to go on too much more, but no, there was no lobbyist from Bushnell that showed up in Georgia at the International Disc Golf Center and was greasing the palms of Brian Graham to say, hey, we're thinking about getting into your tiny niche sport in the next 5 years. Let's see if we can get some of these rules changed where we can get rangefinders into it. So,
and I think we probably talked about this last week. It's a matter of time before your phone is. Right now, your phone is like, it's
already a rangefinder.
It's basically a rangefinder. If you can mark, if you look on your map, and you can probably get within 25 feet of
or 6.
It depends on GPS and how close you want to get, but usually they roughly say 15 to 20 feet pretty accurately. So if you're already there and you're sketching out a 230-foot hole, if it says 230 versus 220 versus 210, that's not too bad. Now, obviously, the rangefinders are a lot more accurate, but depending on who's telling you this.
Little shout out to our semi-casual round last night. Johnny V got worked hard.
Oh my gosh, we were playing a par 4 hole out at Brown Deer, and Terry called me and said, hey, do you want to go out for a round? And we haven't been out for a round in a while, so we ran out there, and this par 4, 550 probably.
Sure.
Maybe right around there, but it goes, it's 550, and then it kind of cuts off to the right, and it's a position that like I've played once in my life. Terry had never played it. So we had thrown out to this field, and I kind of had to take a dog leg right, but I had to throw a more kind of a sweeping Anheuser to try to get in there. And someone pulled out his rangefinder, and he's looking at it, and he's like, all right, I think, yeah. 140 feet. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I pull out my Comet, I throw it literally about 140 feet, dead center into the bushes. And I was like, huh. Oh, well, I probably just fluffed it, like, whatever. And then he looks again. He's like, oh, no, wait. It's probably, yeah, actually, I did my math wrong. It's 170 feet. I walk up to my lie. I actually have a lie, surprisingly, because I threw it right into the trees. You know, it was an open putt. I could have took a 3 on it, but it was an elevated basket, hit a basket, and whatever. Missed the 35-foot putt. And just chuckled. Just all of us laughed as he just like, nope. Oh, yeah. No, I just told you the complete wrong distance on that. So when you do get your rangefinder, make sure to get it in feet from the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Yeah, the Bushnell 850 Sport, I think, is the official one.
So you don't have to do any wrong math to your card mates.
He flat out said, he goes, oh, I got to multiply it by 3, not by 2.
Yeah.
So it was off by a factor of 33%. And I don't know if his math is good in the first place.
No.
Even if he did multiply it by 3.
And to be 100% fair to him, I heard that, but it didn't really come into the play of my throw too much. Like I threw it short. I could see where the gap was. I should have hit it. It was just a pretty funny situation where literally right after I threw it 30 feet short, he's like, oh, nope. I'm sorry. That should be 170. So just totally working me, ruined my round.
Yeah.
Basically sent me into a spiral that I never recovered out of.
Ray asks, how easily could a cell phone do the same thing as a rangefinder? I feel like, again, with a little bit of preparation, you go out there and you GPS literally every single pin, which I think UDisc probably already does or has, or you just pull up UDisc and it tells you how far away you are from the pin. You just coordinate every single basket that's out there, and then depending on where you're standing and how fancy of an app or a GPS system you have, that's exactly what I feel like a rangefinder would do for you. So that's why I'm saying it's inevitable in the fact that if people really wanted to work themselves into doing it, and the fact that we've got, wearable watches and all this other stuff that it makes it so easy to do. Again, I'm fine with it. I understand what you're saying, Galactic, when you say that you wish rangefinders and the like are BS, should rely on the skill of the player throwing the disc, no outside info. That would be pro. Maybe. Is it any different if you have a caddy? If you're out there and you're playing AM4, but your best friend who's a professional and the course pro is out there and he or she is standing next to you and says, oh yeah, that's 180 feet to the pin from here, or you're 350 or whatever. I mean, I understand in terms of you almost have kind of a traditionalist viewpoint of this, and I can very much appreciate that. However, I just think we're past it. That can of worms was open. Rangefinders weren't allowed for many years. They are now. I don't see us going back. We're not closing that box.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. It says UDisc will tell you how far away if the course is mapped, which I feel like quite a few of the courses are. A pro musician is an artist, not a competitor. Okay. A quick shout out. Speaking of Maple Hill earlier, correction. Sorry, I'm mixing up my courses. Pixie Cannon, who's on tour with Trevor Harbolt. I believe on social media, I saw her post yesterday that she got her first ace during some form of a league round at a course in Maine, and then I don't remember how many holes or how many minutes later she got her second ace.
Wow.
It may have been in a second round. I apologize. I don't remember off the top of my head. But either way, she had 2 aces. She got her first and second aces very, very close to one another in the same day. Might have been 2 separate rounds, but nonetheless, that's pretty incredible. How'd you like to do that, Johnny?
It's been a long time since I've had an ace. I was trying to think of that the other day. Like, I don't think I've had one in probably 4 or 5 years, an actual ace. I'm trying to think. I honestly can't even remember the last one I had. So.
I'll read it. So I aced in warm-up for doubles, which was my first ever ace on hole 14. Then, 45 minutes later, I aced hole 15 with my favorite drone that I got from my homie Chris West. First ace sidearm, second ace backhand anti-flex. I won the ace pot at $258. I tried to split it with my partner, the nicest guy, Whitey. He refused the money, told me to keep it. Baby's getting some new shoes. So
well, good for her.
that's a pretty awesome story.
Not only get your first ever ace, you get your second ever ace, and it's the opposite of your normal, your traditional throw. So good for her.
Awesome. All right, Johnny. I don't know. Do you have anything else that we need to share from the social medias this week, or updates, MVP action Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend?
Hannah Macbeth, as we said, is going to be on the course again. You're going to be in the booth. Same crew, same awesome guys as Steve was talking about. No, not really. Everybody hope everybody enjoys the stream, and then Sunday night go and watch Lovecraft Country on HBO.
That's a weird. Okay, I mean, if you can make.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it a pick there.
Okay. Well, I'd quickly also I'd be silly not to mention. Thank you for hosting us yet again up at Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch. Mike and Michelle Cousins, along with the crew, all the sponsors, everyone up there. A good pal Johnny Rumble took down the W, came from behind in the Grandmasters. You've seen him win internationally. Well, he won again this weekend in the Grandmasters. Kale Leviska took down the Open Division, shooting a pair of 15 unders on the 27-hole course. Jimmy McDonald bested one of our good friends in Steve Held. And Casey Gallade, I think, took down the FPO. Those are all off the top of my head. So congratulations. Thanks, Mike, Michelle Cousins. We love you here from Smashbox. And all the support that you guys give, and host of the Wisconsin Disc Golf Hall of Fame. Check them out, sandypt.com. All right, guys, we're going to call it. It's been a fun night. We appreciate you guys all joining us. Looking forward to another weekend of live disc golf coming from one of the most famed and noticed courses in all of the country, if not the world. Thanks again to Kevin Jones for joining us in the regular show. Thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with him. Also, thanks to Steve Dodge for all of his insights. Hope you guys learned something new about Steve and the birdie game. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, all of our Patreon supporters who we love the most, all of our subscribers, and just even our people that like to creep in on our shows from time to time. We love it that you come and creep on us. We appreciate it. We'll see you this weekend for live disc golf, and next week for our show. You step inside the Smashbox.